Heya! This is Pokeball35, and welcome to YouTube, playing the Super Paper Mario OST flip side for you. So, this is something that I haven't really done before. At the moment, this is being recorded and streamed live at twitch.tv/Pokeball35, link in the description. So I have a playlist on my YouTube channel called Reaction-ish videos, because sometimes reaction videos will happen in there of like there's a Nintendo Direct or a Smash presentation or something like that, and that'll go in there, or something similar to that will go in that playlist. So, a couple days ago, I was about to go to bed, it was like 4 AM, and then this randomly got put into my recommended, which is a video on the world record history, 80% of Super Paper Mario. And I know nothing about this other than, like, I think the speedrunners will go into, like, the pit of 100 trials or something like that to get Dashel or whatever. But I did talk about that stuff a little tiny bit, during the Super Paper Mario playthrough that just recently happened, and if you're somehow stumbling upon this video, I don't know who I am. I just Let's Played Super Paper Mario in its entirety, I'd say about like a month and a half to 2 months ago, which is already crazy that that's happened already. Like, that time has already passed. It's a 39 episode thing, so this is officially going to be the 40th episode of Super Paper Mario in the playlist. So it'll be going in there, and also the Reaction-ish videos playlist and stuff like that. So I want to watch this, and again, this is being streamed live at twitch.tv/Pokeball35. It is currently 11:39 p.m., and I don't really stream late, so I don't know how many people will join in. But I don't care. If you're watching it now, thanks for watching. If you want to see the video in its entirety without my face and me talking over it, it'll be linked down below. You can also just look up this video. I just looked up Super Paper... I'm gonna have to get rid of the red thing. I looked up Super Paper Mario on YouTube, and it was literally just this video here, so you can find it pretty easily. It's also by this channel called SPM Community, or Super Paper Mario Community. I went to their channel, it looks like they do, like, speedrun races of stuff, which is interesting. But I'm gonna click on the video, we're gonna scrub it all the way to the beginning, turn off the flip side music. We're gonna go full screen, and I'm going to turn off the logo, the red, and the white, so it's just this. I am gonna still have the goal stuff at the bottom of the screen, because that's just part of my stream. And again, if you don't want this stuff on the screen, you don't want to see me, you don't want to see the stuff, you don't want to watch my reaction to it, which if you're watching this video and you don't want to see my reaction to it, I don't know why you're here, but if you want to see it for yourself, the full 2 hours, it'll be in the description. And I think the volume is good. I did like a test recording to make sure it's good, so I'm just gonna press play and we're gonna see what this is about.
Today,
should be like about here.
I'll tell you the story of the black sheep of the Paper Mario series.
Which
the
already...
story of how speedrunners push the game to its absolute limits.
This is already really good.
Of course, many people attempted speedruns over the years. Starting from humble beginnings, the community grew exponentially.
I want it a little bit louder, but I don't know.
That game had far more potential than anyone ever thought. This legend came to be known as Super Paper Mario, which is our story for today. This is the history of Super Paper Mario speedrunning.
Feels like I'm starting the game all over again. Pognosticus.
On April 9th, 2007, Super Paper Mario was released to North America. Super Paper Mario
Gotta remember
is an
those
action
trailers,
RPG
too.
platformer developed by Intelligent Systems and the third title in the Paper Mario franchise. SPM focused itself more towards its
The volume is going all over
development,
the place,
as well as
so
introducing new gameplay mechanics like the ability to flip between 2 dimensions. This differed greatly from the previous Paper Mario titles, which were more focused on stage battles and open-world exploration. Due to this change in style, the game had its fair share of critics. Nonetheless, the game achieved a cult following and sold over 4 million copies.
Also, I just want to pause here, just to see the sales. Wow, you can see how poorly Color Splash did for it being on the Wii U. Yeah, that also is true. Technically, Super Paper Mario is the best-selling game in the series. Because it was on the Wii, so, like, everyone bought it. But that's just kind of crazy to see that.
Making it the best-selling Paper Mario game of all time. SPM was critically acclaimed for having a fantastic storyline, as fans loved the darker tones that the game took on. This and other factors earned the hearts of many fans who played the game. I'm sure that you've all heard of speedrunning by now.
Oh, there we
go,
yeah.
The concept of beating a video game as fast as possible is certainly not a new one.
I've seen that clip.
Many people have taken up speedrunning as their own passion for a number of years now. Users constantly grind for personal bests and world records in their favorite speed games.
Oh, that's a good trick. Doing that without a mushroom?
Cards and streaming, it's easier than ever for users to share their progress with the world. In recent years, speedrunning has grown to new heights, with certain speed games receiving an increase in overall popularity,
Minecraft?
with more and more people being introduced to the concepts of speedrunning. Some games are much more popular than others, while other speed games don't receive a good deal of attention until years, even decades after the release.
True.
Fortunately for SPM, it didn't take long at all for speedrunners to show interest in what the game had to offer. Since the game's release, SPM's speedrunning community formed together and found a number of new tricks, glitches, and major discoveries that dismantled the game in ways that had never been seen before.
Like, I'm so excited to see all of this.
At the end of it all, over an hour was saved off the first world record.
Because, like, if you watched my playthrough, like, one of the only glitches I know how to do, because I don't remember if I discovered it or I saw it randomly on a YouTube video, but there's a glitch that you can do on chapter 1-3, where you can, like, clip into the signpost in the shop in Yold Town, and you can get out of bounds there, as in, like, you're just kind of in a black void and you can't see anything. And I think there was one more, but I forget.
And the community
so, like, I know nothing about this game's inner workings.
Somebody clip that! Oh my gosh, I just did it!
See, I did that. Not that, though. I don't know what this is.
I'm done with this game, dude.
My name is NMFlash8, and alongside JCR and our many guest commentators, we're here to take a deep dive into the history of Super Paper Mario speedrunning. To start this story, let's take a look into where this all began.
Also, NMFlash8 is one of the world record holders, or like one of the top contenders for this game. One more side story before we actually like continue watching out of the prologue, because this is the end of the prologue of the video. So, I think this was 2019. I can't remember because like the world just kind of happens and I forget when I stream things. I think it was last year. I'm pretty positive it was last year. It could have been 2019. I don't remember. Either way, the point is, I streamed Pokemon Rumble and Pokemon Rumble Blast because I wanted to stream the first 3 Pokemon Rumble games because Pokemon Rumble mobile game that I forget the name of was shutting down at one point, and I wanted to replay the series a bit. And I pretty much played Pokemon Rumble U for the first time ever on that stream because I bought it, I played it for an hour, and didn't pick it up for like 8 years because the game was just fucking awful. Like, the entire point of Pokemon Rumble was just thrown out the window, and it was just battle royales. And I got curious, so during that stream, I checked the leaderboard for Pokemon Rumble U, because I was like, oh, I could totally speedrun this game. I never did. But I could totally speedrun this game, and I checked the one of the leaderboards, and fucking NMFlash8 commented on it, saying if he could do a co-op speedrun with his sister or something like that. And I'm like, who's NMFlash8? He's literally the only comment on the entire forum on speedrun.com for Pokemon Rumble U. And then I checked, and he's like, at the time, he was like number 3 any % Super Paper Mario. I'm like, what? Really? Like, this random comment leads to Super Paper Mario speedrunning? I love Super Paper Mario. And then I joined his Discord server, and I don't think I've ever talked in there since. I did, however, just plug the stream in that server, so if anyone from that stream comes by, including him, that'd be pretty neat. Chapter 1, where it all began, 2007 to 2010.
Speedrunning has been around for a very long time, with many citing the
How come I didn't have this animated border? I just had a regular border during the playthrough.
For speedrunners back then, it was very difficult to find a place to meet up and discuss their passion hobby with one another. However, there was a forum on the horizon that would become the earliest community forum dedicated solely to speedrunning. and would lead to the birth of numerous communities that still exist to this day.
I haven't thought about Cookie Clicker in forever,
In
and I just saw it there.
1998, a website was created by a user named Radix, which was used to house a playlist of early-day Quake speedruns. The site later became known as Speed Demos Archive. As time passed, SDA later began to include speed games outside of Quake, which allowed for the site's rapid growth and expansion. The site would hit its peak during the summer of 2005, citing its largest user base and highest amounts of activity.
Rip all the way down
the
there in
site's
2019.
history. It's safe to say that this was the first time a large group of speedrunners were all able to come together and share their interests with one another. For Super Paper Mario, this peak couldn't have happened at a better time. Nintendo had just announced that the Wii was set to release in November 2006, and as a result, many SDA users picked up the console on launch day. With Super Paper Mario releasing soon after this, some SDA users began to show interest in what a speedrun of the game would look like. The first post about SPM speedrunning came just
Some of this might be on emulator, which makes sense, because most people would probably play it there. It's so nice to see the game in HD, because I played it off of my Wii U.
a few days after the game's release. These threads included curious users who would go on to play an important role in the game's very
Super
first
Paper Mario
speed.
HD port
But
to
for
Switch
now,
when?
they were
I'd
patiently
replay it.
waiting for someone
I
to
just
attempt
100%ed
run
it.
this brand new game.
100%ed it, as in
Unfortunately,
I
they'd
didn't
have
do
to
some of
wait
the
a
stuff.
very long time before anyone attempted an SPM speedrun. Just kidding. Just 18 days after the game's initial release, a user named Mr. Guy posted a thread about Super Paper Mario to the SDA forums. Mr. Guy announced that he was beginning a segmented speedrun project for the game. This meant that Guy would record his run from one save block to another, and would be able to retry a segment as many times as possible if needed. This was beneficial for the first ever run, since very little was known about the game at all at this time. Some users didn't even have access to the game due to the European and Australian releases being delayed for 5 months.
Rip.
Nonetheless, Guy received a decent amount of support from SDA users, especially those who had previously shown interest in the game. As Mr. Guy continued to post new segments of his run, others would chime in on what could be improved in each segment, as well as providing their own tips and tricks that they learned. Over the course of nearly 3 months, users worked with Mr. Guy to help form SPM's
Also, that Samus picture is
first
from
ever
Akai
speedrun.
Riot, I'm pretty sure. Shoutouts to Akai Riot.
One thing that can definitely be said about this run is that it was a community-driven goal. At the end of the day, it's Mr. Guy's run, but many different people came together to help with advice or tips to assure the first run was as fast as possible. When Mr. Guy first planned out the route, he noticed quite a few areas in which he could save time solely on prior knowledge. For example, since a fire burst was needed to wake up Peach before Chapter 2, Guy decided to pick one up in Bastovius' house. Another example was in 2-.
I typically use that one right
Knowing the
away,
code in
because there's
Genie's
like a...
vault before beginning
Yeah.
the level meant it could be beaten in just around 3 minutes. Peroxide also pointed out that using the return pipe during the game's pre-chapter intermissions could save a lot of time on backtracking. Mr. Guy also received helpful feedback to improve on mistakes that he made in initial attempts. Satoru pointed out how it would be faster to skip the Megastar animation in 1-1, while Amazing Ampharos suggested the idea of using multi-bounces to help Guy improve his O-Chunks fight in 1-3. Another example is seen in 2-2, where TJP mentions that Guy could skip a large chunk of platforming in Merle's mansion with the use of some neat 3D movement.
True.
Outside of prior knowledge time saves and help from other SDA users, Mr. Guy also came up with a few tricks on his own to save more time. In 1-4, Guy was able to perform a one-cycle Fractail fight.
Yo, the swag
By jumping
tail?
on Fractail's tail and landing on his head again,
That's in the
Mr.
guidebook.
Guy saves up to 1.5 minutes by skipping a 40-second cutscene that occurs when falling on Fractail. Then in 2-1, Guy uses a Paragoomba to jump on an unreachable platform, which
I didn't know
saves a
about this.
decent amount of time since
Yo,
it
look at
skips
that,
a long
yeah.
cutscene. As Mr. Guy progressed throughout the run, most segments became pretty self-explanatory, since they all became very similar to completing the game casually. Guy did
I would've
a
just
great
swapped to
job
Bowser
bringing
there. It
up
would've
fast
flipped you out of
tracks for
3D
early
already.
chapters,
So you wouldn't have to press the
then
button.
played through the rest of the run with very few noteworthy time saves. The main time save left in the run consisted of Mr. Guy using the Bowser-Thudley combination on many bosses per Amazing Ampharos' recommendation. Both Bowser and Thudley have increased attack damage properties, so this would allow Guy to get through bosses much quicker. Finally, on July 14th,
Also, hello, Mr. B. Welcome to the stream. There's a few tricks that just look incredible, but I can't pull them off. Also, I just want to rewind
So this would allow recommendation.
Because how I do Bone Chill is that I pick Luigi and I just super jump onto him. I didn't think about this.
Damage properties. So
Jump on the middle part and then Bowser just fucking
bosses much quicker.
skull
Finally, on
fucks
July
him.
14th, 2007,
That's the best I can
Mr.
describe
Guy
that.
submitted a segmented run to Speed Demo's archive, with a final time of 5 hours and 13 minutes that spanned across 45 segments. The final time was recorded using the game's in-game file timer. While this run may not stand out nowadays, this was a really impressive feat at the time due to the fact that the game had released so recently, thus very little was known about the game overall. At this point, Mr. Guy stood atop as the Super Paper Mario World Record holder, and many who followed him from the start sent congratulations on his job well done. However, this wasn't the end for SPM speedrunning in 2007. While Mr. Guy was making posts about his run, there was a user silently lurking who planned on doing their own segmented run of Super Paper Mario. For more on this, let's throw it over to one of our many guest commentators, Jared's Giants.
On October 8th, 2007, a user named Saaru made a post on the same thread used for Mr. Guy's
Oh shit,
runs,
Meat Boy
announcing
Isaac.
that he too planned on doing a segmented speedrun for Super Paper Mario. Saaru was able to pick out certain flaws
Also, because I have chat feedback, just let me know how the volume is. It's probably fine, but I'm paranoid.
in Mr. Guy's run that he felt could be improved. For starters, Saaru found that you can actually skip through text using both the 1 and 2 buttons, while Guy had only been using the 2 button. With the ridiculous amount of text in this game, this did go a long way to saving time during longer cutscenes. Saaru also found more platforming and route improvements in comparison to Guy's run. In 1-3, Saaru carried a squig to the end of a room, got it to shoot a coconut, then jumped off that coconut to get over the wall, which skipped another cutscene. For 2-1,
Perfect.
a user named YoshiFan gave Saaru the suggestion of jumping off a Jabus's head to reach a set of doors quicker. Another user named KingCTTR laid out a faster 3-1 route for Saaru, which was done by using Peach's parasol to reach a pipe in midair. However,
That's the end
none
of
these
the
improvements
level
came close
pipe
the
to
biggest
take you to the
change that
end.
Saaru contributed to the run. Power leveling. In 1-1, Saaru got a squig to continuously shoot coconuts, thus allowing him to constantly level up.
Oh,
After
fuck.
doing this for around 5 minutes, Saaru was able to get his level up above 400,000 points, meaning that for the rest of the run, he would be able to finish all bosses.
He had
much quicker
40
than Mr. Guy.
HP in 1-1.
For example, the O-Chunks fight in 1-3 took Mr. Guy 20 hits, while it only took Saaru 3. With this principle applied to most of the other bosses, Saaru was easily able to gain time on Guy's run.
New segments for the run would continue to be posted early into 2008, with Saaru posting his 4-3 segment on January 20th. Unfortunately, this would be the very last post he'd ever make in regards to the run.
Rip.
As Saaru became busy with other projects, he had less time to work on his run, thus the run was eventually shelved. After Saaru's last post, little at all can be found about SPM speedrunning during 2008 to 2010. The game's hype had slowly died off since its first release, and other SDA users took off
graph
to work
makes
on
me
bigger
sad.
and better projects. While the game remained awfully quiet during this 2-year span, there were some new users who were about to shed a whole new light on Super Paper Mario, some of whom would quickly break the game in ways that were never seen before.
Can't wait. Chapter 2! Breaking the game! 2011 to 2013.
Shortly after a huge recession
Oh,
in SPM activity,
good choice of
the
music.
game would quickly shoot back into the spotlight as it was being picked apart by an unfamiliar name. On the Task Videos forum, the topic of tasks or tool-assisted speedrun would pop up, and people would ask questions to see if anyone was working on a task for certain games, or had any intentions on making one. While it seemed like no one had enough interest for SPM tasking, a lot of questions arose, such as, were there any major skips? At the time, no one knew of anything large enough to be called a skip, until a user by the name of the Wario would make their way
The
onto Task
Wario.
Videos and post about some of the most important finds in the game's history.
The only one to ever exist.
The Wario was playing through SPM when they found some of the biggest tricks to be known. Right off the bat, he showcased one of the more interesting yet infamous tricks in the game, Life Shroom Jump. LSJ is a frame-perfect double jump using the Life Shroom death mechanic. The Wario found that at the tail end of the revive animation, you could jump or dimension flip just one frame after the animation was over. Within that same post, the Wario posted about another glitch he found which allowed Mario to gain infinite height. When using the Pixel Thudley, it's possible to cancel a ground pound in mid-air. After doing this, there's one frame where the game detects that Mario is standing on the ground, which the player could press A and flip to the other dimension. The game will then give you the option to jump and attempt the trick again. By doing this process repeatedly, you can technically gain an infinite amount of height and distance with this.
Well, there you
broken
go.
pixel.
The over there is
Wario initially
solved.
called this find dimension hopping, but later down the line, the trick's name was changed to Thudley jumping. However,
Why you
both
not
of
keeping dimension hopping? That's sick. That's a sick name for a trick. Dimension hopping? That's literally what you're doing.
these tricks would prove to be very tedious in the long run, and became a struggle for any new runners after this point on. The main issue with both tricks is that each input could
You
only
can't
be
do that
performed
trick?
on one
I didn't know of
frame
its
while running
existence
on
until
60
just now.
FPS game. For Thudley jumping, it was possible to learn a rhythm to the trick since you could attempt it as many times as possible.
It reminds me of the infinite Yoshi flutter jump glitch in Mario Sunshine. No, I don't think it's Mario Sunshine. It's either Mario Sunshine or Galaxy 2. I remember it's in Galaxy 2. I might be mistaken that it's in Sunshine. I might just suck. But there's an infinite Yoshi flutter jump thing in Galaxy 2. I can do it a couple times, maybe like 2 or 3 in a row, and that's it.
But for Livestream Jump, there was only a very tiny visual cue, and you only got one attempt at the trick. The best bet for runners would either be spending a long time studying the visual cue and learning the timing, or just mashing A after dying and hoping for the best. After these two game-breaking glitches were laid out, it was time to go over any potential uses for the two tricks.
Oh yeah, you can skip
For more
pretty
on
much.
that, let's hand it over to another one.
I think Bikeboard talked about that when he was in chat when I was going through the over there, that you can skip the entirety of needing to make the Rainbow Bridge to get to Bone Chill.
Our guest commentators, Gamer Squiddy.
Within the same post on taskvideos.org, the Wario provided new uses for Thudley jumps and livestream jumps in an RTA run. For Thudley jumping, here were some potential uses that the Wario theorized. In 5-1, you could skip having to input the very long passcode, and instead just Thudley jump over the final wall to get to the star.
You know what? I'd rather do that than input that goddamn code. I'm gonna grab it again. So I did my playthrough of the game recently with this, my shitty beat-up guidebook to Super Paper Mario, because I love this game so much and I wanted to make sure that I could like showcase like everything about the game that I could out of this thing. I even with the page that tells you the passcode, I'm not gonna find it right now. But even with the page that tells you the passcode, I misinput the passcode like 5 or 6 times. I'd rather just Thudley jump over that wall.
This strategy saved about 16 seconds and was eventually implemented in runs, and was titled Block Puzzle Skip. In 7-3, you can skip waking up Peach, collecting 2 apples, and talking to Cyrus the Cloud by doing an insane amount of Thudley jumps up to the last stair in the level. This trick took a large amount of consecutive Thudley jumps, but would save about 2 minutes if done very well. This strategy was eventually implemented into runs and was named Peach Skip. In 7-4, you can skip collecting all 3 orbs and activating the Rainbow Bridge by doing 4 to 6 Thudley jumps over the gap to reach the Bone Chill.
Let's go.
While this trick didn't require as many Thudley jumps as some other tricks, it is easily the largest amount of time saved in the game up to this point, saving over 7 minutes from completing the level normally. This trick
that's like
was
a lot.
immediately implemented in runs, and was called Rainbow Bridge Skip. In 8-2, it was possible to skip Mimi's switch trap by doing 1 to 2 Thudley jumps up to the room above, which holds the key to progress through the level.
True.
This trick was implemented in runs and called
That's-
the Melon Switch Skip.
that's
and it saved
awesome.
about a minute. The Wario also provided 2 potential skips using livestream jumps as well. In 1-2, you could skip getting Throw and activating the Green Bridge by performing a livestream jump over the final gap to get
I
to
mean,
the
but
start.
Throw is useful for a lot of
The
things,
strategy was
unless you just
estimated
don't
to save
need him at
around
all.
2 minutes, and was called Green Bridge Skip, but the trick was often just referred to as livestream jump because it was the only key use of a livestream jump in runs. In 2-1, it was possible to skip getting Boomer by performing a livestream jump up to the blue switch that opened up the final door in the level. This strategy was almost never attempted in runs, since it was such a pain to go out of your way for another livestream and have to hit a second frame-perfect trick in a run. The Wario would also make one final glitch discovery, an infinite jump with Bowser and Carrie called Bowser Bumps. These are pretty difficult to pull off, and there aren't any major uses for this glitch to this day. Overall, with just one post to taskvideos.org, the Wario absolutely annihilated this game, and opened a door of many opportunities to future runners.
After all of these newfound tricks,
Like, just
new
already
runners
this
would
is
enter the
amazing.
scene. unbeknownst to any SPM runners in the West, a small community of Japanese runners formed from November 2010 to June 2012. While much proof or video doesn't exist anymore for these runs, we were able to find old leaderboard screenshots and other archived pages to give enough proof to say which runs were world records at a specific time. Unlike the runs prior to this point, all runs from here on out were done in a single segment, meaning they were done in one full recording from start to finish instead of being done from save block to save block. According to a few forum posts, Rikuma or Rekvi held the world record with a time of 4 hours, 37 minutes, and 22 seconds on August 10th, 2011. We'd love to give an in-depth analysis on what improvements were made in this run. However, none of Rekvi's SPM runs can be found anywhere. The little bit of proof we have left was a picture of their splits on an ancient Google Doc that held some of the older run information. A user named The Ticken would do runs around this time as well. While they never had the world record, this is some of the earliest footage that still exists of a single segment RTA run, so we figured it'd be nice to have it on this list. In early 2012, Rekvi would achieve another world record with a time of 4 hours, 36 minutes, and 38 seconds on January 26th. But as mentioned, the video no longer exists today. Moving back to the old SDA forums around mid-2012, a runner by the name of Doisum began to take interest in Super Paper Mario speedrunning. While the old 2007 forums on SDA had gone completely silent, Doisum decided to make a new post in June 2012 under a thread about single-segment SPM runs. He announced that he planned on doing a single-segment speedrun for SPM and shared his route with users to try to retain feedback. A few of Doisum's route improvements include using a shell shock on both Bowser fights, picking up the Power Plus to save time on leveling, and picking up various items and catch cards to sell for coin routing. This would allow him to open up the blue pipe from flip side to flop side, which was an amazing optimization missed from previous runs. Doisum completed 3 runs in the span of 4 days and ended up with a time of 4 hours, 52 minutes, and 28 seconds. While Doisum never actually held the world record, these runs were pretty significant as it's some of the earliest known recordings of the tricks like Dudley Jumping, Rainbow Bridge Skip, as well as a few other time saves found by the Wario. Doisum also helped in making numerous route improvements that runners would use for many years to come. The Wario and Matured Sinner also joined in on this thread, and all 3 discussed time saves with one another. Some other notable finds from this time are Ice Chirble Skip, which is a trick in 1-3 done by taking damage from an ice chirble so that its heightened position will be higher in the air, allowing Mario to jump on the chirble and reach the door, saving around 12 to 15 seconds. One last notable find was a faster version of the 3-2 blooper fight, which could be done by flipping into 3D to lure the red tentacle out of the water.
You know, I never
back into 2D
really bothered to flip into 3D during that fight, and I probably should have to show that off. I just didn't think about it.
After all of Doisum's runs and new discoveries, Rekvi would break the record for a third and final time, getting a 4 hour, 32 minute, and 35 second run on January 30th, 2013. As with all other Rekvi runs, the only thing that exists still to this day is a screenshot of the run splits, and nothing more. Unfortunately, a lot of the information during this time is extremely dated, broken, and fuzzy. As we leave 2013, the game is in a very interesting state. Barely any active runners, a non-finalized route, and some reminiscences of unimplemented tricks, like the 1-2 livestream jump, which could be feasible, but very frustrating to deal with at a top level. Lucky for SPM, however,
I'm not tabbed back in. What's crazy about that is, like, I don't know how Super Paper Mario is the best-selling Paper Mario game of all time, selling like 2 million more units than Thousand Year Door. Also, thank you, Zyle, who used Sinister Arrow Raid and shot 1 arrow my way. Thank you very much for the raid of 1. But yeah, Super Paper Mario sold like 2 million more units than Thousand Year Door. However, like, no one plays the game. And that's wild. Like, by like, what is that, 5 years after the game is fully released, there's still not an optimized route for the game.
Users are about to enter the scene to form the Speed Game's first generation of runners.
I know that. Like, I know it's like the Wii is like super popular and stuff like that. That's why it sold more. Also, Chapter 3, the first generation, 2014 to 2016.
As 2014 rolled around, the SPM community found itself in yet another activity slump. Following Doisim's departure, the game had very few active runners, so there's very little information to be found during this time. While not much activity occurred on the speedrunning side of things, there was an early
I like the
showing
use of pure hearts for the
subcommunity
first,
that had
second,
yet
third,
to
and
be
fourth
seen in
place
SPM
on the
up to this point.
leaderboard there.
Glitch hunters. Glitch hunters are a subsection of a community that dedicate a majority of their time to finding bugs or glitches that may help improve a game's speedrun. These glitch hunters may also use an emulator to slow down game speed and create specific button inputs for every single frame. This is the same process used to create tool-assisted speedruns, or TAS for short. In late 2013, a well-known TASer named Malio began to TAS Super Paper Mario.
I'm aware of
Malio had
them.
worked on a task for Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door prior to this, so he took a keen interest
I think I
in
watched
SPM
that.
due to both games being made on
There was
Super
like a
Nintendo.
really popular thing. I don't know where the video is. I'm not gonna pull it up right now. There's a video of a Taz speedrun of this game that took like a really, really long time to make because it was like the most optimized it could possibly be. I remember watching that like a year or two ago.
While
I think
Malio
they were
never
part of
completed
that.
a task for this game, he did find a glitch that would prove to be totally game-breaking. On January 22nd, 2014, Malio made a post on taskvideos.org about a small out-of-bounds clip that he ran into during the tasking process. This find was deemed to be very specific, since Mario seemed to clip out of bounds purely based on awkward geometry. Since this particular out-of-bounds trick was discovered, barely anyone has been able to recreate it to this day.
Wow.
At the time, however, this led users to believe that there could potentially be more with this trick, or that it could possibly lead to a consistent out-of-bounds clip. With this information, Malio continued researching, but it wouldn't take long to make a new out-of-bounds discovery. Just 5 days later, on January 27th, Malio made another post about a new glitch, corner clipping. He had discovered a method to clip through blocks in 2D with the use of Mario.
Oh shit.
By duck jumping at a corner and pressing 2 at the height of your jump, you were able to clip past any corners of almost any block in the game.
Huh.
This trick broke open many new possible time saves in SPM.
Yeah, just skip that
but
pipe.
most weren't found until a
Who needs
later point
Cudge?
in time. For now, the community was left to only theorize potential uses of this trick. As time moved on in 2014, Malio became much more busy, meaning work on the SPM task came to a halt. Unfortunately, the SPM community would not see a full game task until many years after this point.
Oh my god.
However, more and more users began to gain interest in glitch hunting, which led to some more discoveries in 2014. One of these users was DSY. As DSY took notice of SPM and began glitch hunting, she would upload any interesting finds to YouTube and compile them all into a playlist. Some of these videos include thumbly jumps being used in specific levels, coin routing tests, or various oddities that can be found in SPM. However, there was one video in particular that would lead to one of the largest rabbit holes in all of Super Paper Mario history.
I would love it if some of the
Peach
people who
Intermission
worked on
cutscene
the video
sequence
/ speedrun the game would be
For more
here.
on
I
this,
plugged it in
let's
the
toss it over to one of our
NM
special guest commentators,
Flash
Sacred
server.
Ghost.
The Peach
That
Intermission
was there.
cutscene at Blex Castle is home to one of the most perplexing potential sequence breaks in all of speedrunning. After beating Chapter 1-4, there is a few short cutscenes that play before being transported back to Flipside. One of these cutscenes gives us control of Peach for the first time, and we must navigate the halls of Blex Castle and attempt to escape.
Very
While
much.
it may not be a
Just saying it again, this is one of my favorite games of all time. I just recently did a Let's Play of this about a month or two ago, because it was my first time playing this game all the way through, start to finish, doing everything, first time ever doing all of the Pit of 100 trials, and, the Sammer Kingdom stuff, on stream. So that was like a month or two ago. Hey, if you're interested in seeing the playthrough, you can check out my YouTube channel right there.
apparent at this early stage of the game. We are actually traveling
So
through
now-
the same corridors.
so now that I'm,
present
like,
in Chapter 8-1.
The game's fresh in my mind. I want to
to
see this because this just randomly popped into my recommended. Also, thank you JCR for following. You did the thing, and I very much appreciate you. But yeah, this just randomly popped into my recommended like 2 days ago. It had like 2,000 views at the time. It currently nope. That's not what I want to do. Fuck. Right around here. Close enough. I wanted to show now it has 9.6, and I fucked it up just now.
Potential sequence breaks and
Alright, hold on.
while it may not be present in Chapter
Okay, right here.
8-1. In fact, it's due to the 8-1 map being loaded during the pre-Chapter 2 cutscene that makes this sequence break an actual possibility. In the very first room that you were spawned in, there is a tall ledge on the right side of the door that cannot normally be reached at this point.
It's
By
usually where you have to go
using
get the
moon jump
key.
hacks with Peach to reach the top of the ledge, we will find that the pipe is still loaded from the 8-1 level. By entering, we are still taken to the same room that contains the key. By collecting this key and exiting out the same pipe, we will successfully trick the game into thinking that we are in 8-1, while we're actually only progressing just through Chapter 1. Once you gain control of Peach during the intermission, your sequence value is set at 55. When you pick up the key, the game doesn't care at what point of the game you are. Its only instruction is to give you the key and set your sequence value all the way up to 361. Big jumps in numbers like these are what are known as sequence breaks. While this is an incredible
awesome.
achievement in itself, there is still a lot more that needs to be worked out before we are able to
I mean,
beat
that's
the
just
game
using
in this
moon
state.
jump, so it's probably
For
not.
starters, there is currently no way to make it on top of the ledge with legitimate means. During the cutscene, the game locks us out of the menu, meaning we can't use items, pixels, or characters. If we figured out a way to make it on the sledge only using Peach, we would actually be able to regain our menu ability by traversing to the nearest save block, then resetting the file. But even so, from this point, we are stuck in an extremely awkward position. While we are currently playing as Peach, the only character we can switch to is Mario, since we technically haven't unlocked Peach yet, meaning we can't switch back to Peach once you switch to Mario. All
no!
previous locked doors are unlocked.
He teleported all the way there.
All pixel chests are open, and all story-related events are set to complete, even though you've never interacted with them. In Chapter 8, the minimum required party members that we need are Bowser for the Fire Puzzle in 8-1, Fleep for the Dimension Chase in 8-3, and Tippy to reveal a door in 8-4. Unfortunately, due to this restrictive
Fleep
game state, it is
the
currently
happy?
impossible to obtain any of these party members. One final interesting note is that there are actually 2 points in this state where we can perform a second sequence break, sequencing ourselves backwards in the game. The first is in 2-1 with a key in a chest, which is pretty much pointless because not only is it slower from the normal route, you won't even have Peach too. It is also possible to sequence back to 3-4 by defeating Francis, but it has not been done without the use of hacks yet. While this very interesting sequence break would need some major breakthroughs to be applied to any
Because
percent,
you'd need
just
Bowser for the
finding a way
tree.
to jump on the ledge would prove to save time for other SPM categories. If we were able to find a way to beat the game with this sequence break, the speedrun would go from being 4 hours long to being around only an hour long.
SPM's glitch hunting community remained active throughout 2014,
I've heard this song in a
working to
while.
discover new tricks and glitches that had yet to be found. On the other end of the spectrum, the speedrunning side was completely dormant at this time. Barely any runs were recorded in 2014, and no progress was made to the world record outside of another 432 achieved in late 2013. But as the year came to a close, there was a new runner on the rise who was about to quickly take the game by storm. On November 1st, 2014, a user named GameRob decided to run Super Paper Mario any percent. GameRob held the world record in the 1,000-year door at this time, and was intrigued by some of the interesting strats that SPM had to offer.
Okay.
In GameRob's first ever completed attempt, he got a 4:39.14, proving that he was capable of getting a great time. And sure enough, 6 days later, GameRob would improve the record to a 4:30.57.
Instant world
GameRob
record
made
there.
improvements to the old record by refining his movement and improving the route, while also utilizing Thudley jumps to help save a significant amount of time in levels such as 3-3 and 7-4. In this record, GameRob also used a new level grind method in 5-2 to increase his HP and attack power significantly, which would help defeat late
The fact
game
that you can
bosses
do
much
that
harder
is
than
just
before.
incredible.
As GameRob did
Why do
runs
squigs have
all
to be so
throughout the month of
broken? They're so
November,
cute.
he continued to improve in every major aspect of the game. However, these runs were unable to convert into a new record. Wanting to push the time down, GameRob began to use SPM's most infamous trick in his runs, Livestream Jump. As previously mentioned in the video, Livestream Jumps were found in 2011, and along with this was the discovery of the 1-2 Green Bridge Skip. To recap the trick, the player must first go to Howzett's shop and buy a Livestream for 50 coins. After this, flip into 3D and walk to the empty gap just before the star block. The player must have their health drained to 1 HP, and with a well-timed jump, die mid-air in the center of the gap. After this, they must successfully perform a Livestream jump by pressing either A or 2 on the correct frame. If all is done correctly, they'll successfully complete Green Bridge Skip.
Nice.
In theory, this trick doesn't sound too bad
Oh,
since it
the thing!
occurs just 14
The thing where you
minutes
clip in the sign.
However, Livestream Jump would prove to be the most reset-heavy point in Super Paper Mario's history. While the trick saved 2 minutes, it could only be attempted once. If you missed
Live
the one
stream
frame,
jump where you
there'd be
can't
no
see
point to
anything.
completing the level normally, since you lost so much time buying the live stream. This meant the only option after failing the trick was to reset and start a new run. This quickly became a large deterrent for running the game. Many runners would be frustrated.
It's not going to
having
show
play
me if they're
the
going to do
first
it in
14
midair when they
moves
can't
over and
see.
over again, just to likely miss a one-frame trick and repeat the process again. On the flip side of that, a 2-minute time save was huge for the run at this time, since the strats used were very limited and could only be pushed so far. Once GameRob implemented a live stream jump into his route, many runs would reset on the trick, causing streams to become a grind just to get at a 1-2. However, on November 12th, the grind would finally begin to pay off, after GameRob improved the record to a 4:26:42.
Cool.
After getting past live stream jump, GameRob carried the run.
It keeps showing the clip and then cutting away.
To save 2.5 minutes in 8 splits. This just went to show how much time save was still present in chapters 7 and 8. In only 12 days of doing runs, GameRob was able to improve the world record by over 9 minutes. At this point, GameRob had far and away established himself as the best SPM player to date. But of course, he wasn't done yet.
Didn't think
Over
about
the
that
next
one.
month, GameRob would grind SPM on and off in hopes of getting another run. While his record was
The way it
fantastic
puts
during
you
the
on
final
blocks
stretch,
when
there was ample
switching
time saved
dimensions
during
makes
the
no
first 6
sense
chapters of the
sometimes.
run. The hardest part, as per usual, was getting
Or like
past
the
1-2.
lack of putting you on blocks.
GameRob described this time being a constant grind fest. Having to repeat prologue over and over again until hitting a one-frame jump was very tedious, and sometimes it was too much to put up with. But alas, he continued attempts up to December 14th, 2014, when this happened.
Little lip off the squig. Mimi murder. See, I never thought I'd ever see a use for shell shock items. Like, that's an item I just never cared about. Is he gonna do the funny Super Dimentio thing that I accidentally did? Oh no, he's doing it that way.
This run wasn't perfect, but I am really, really happy with it. I want the 421 Summer Best, but I'm not going to get it, because I'm probably not going to do any more runs this game. I think I'm done with this run. I might come back eventually, Blue, but this game is like, once you start doing live stream jump, it becomes a huge grind. At least that was my experience. I really didn't enjoy resetting on live stream jump a bunch. It made the run a lot less fun for me, so I'm really happy that I just got it over with.
Yeah, if you had to grind that over and over again, I probably wouldn't do it either. Because, like, if you're doing speedruns, you're going for the world record all the time. Pretty much. Like, that's the main goal. And if you're not doing a trick that would save you time, you're probably not going to get it unless you do, like, some weird godly strats that are completely unheard of.
With that final run, GameRob improved the record by a total of 11 minutes during his month-and-a-half tenure with the game. Staying true to his word in the recording, this would be the last SPM run that he'd attempt for a very long time. Even with
You have to play for like 45 minutes to even get back to that point too.
As his final record would be one of the longest standing any percent records in the game's history. It would take runners a very long time to match the skill level that GameRob was at. But unlike prior instances in the game...
Yeah, I've only done one speed run ever, and it was Pikmin 3 Deluxe. Because I like Pikmin 3. While I'm sidetracked by saying that, where am I? Do I still have that bookmarked? Pikmin 3 Deluxe. All fruits. How has this changed? I am 11th place. I think I was, like, 6th before. I did not care about doing any of the big speedrun stuff. I just kind of played the game regularly. And I wanted to do another speedrun of this at some point, and I haven't yet. But I think I was, like, 6th by the time I did this, and now everyone else is playing the game more.
Game's history, something was different this time around. GameRob was soon to have competition. Before that, a few notable things occurred in early 2015. Over in the glitch hunting community, DSY continued to post new SPM videos to her playlist, and made some new interesting finds. One of these was a mid-air 3D jump using Thoreau. By holding an enemy and jumping just before the 3D meter runs out, Mario will take damage in midair and will quickly be able to jump off the enemy.
I mean, sure.
This trick
Why
can
not?
be used to skip a few gaps or reach high places, but an enemy must be present in the room for the trick to work. The last few videos showcase things like Peach Skip, Bowser Bumps, and the 8-2 Merlin Switch Skip.
I just
While
think being able to skip
2015
that whole
marked the end of the
sequence
playlist, it would be
is great.
constantly looked into by newer runners and community members to see many of the
Because I
weird
forgot how to
glitches
do
the
that
game
part, and I was there for like 5 minutes.
Another thing that happened in 2015 was the rise of Super Paper Mario's speedrun.com page. The page was added sometime in 2014, but wasn't actively used until GameRob's runs. From this point on, speedrun.com/SPM will become the home of every runner's times, rather than runs being placed in a Google document. With the site's introduction to the community, it quickly became a spot for runners to talk with one another and share strategies to help newer runners that were interested in taking on any percent. And about halfway through 2015, 2 brand new challengers would appear. On June 2nd, a new runner named I'm Dead would submit his first ever any percent run, with the final time
I like
of
the profile picture.
5:09:39. Similar to GameRob, Dead was the 1,000-year door any percent world record
Oh,
holder
shit.
at the time of joining SPM. Unlike GameRob, however, Dead would stick around in the SPM community for years to come. All throughout the month of June, Dead would PB on 4 separate occasions, finishing off the month with a 440. Dead was improving at a steady rate and continued to do runs all throughout the summer. However, for the first time in this game's history, he wasn't the only person actively running the game. On July 24th, another new runner named Mirror A would submit his first any percent run to speedrun.com.
The top contender to Mirror B.
4:51:19. Mirror had played Mario Kart DS and Paper Mario 64 before this, but had practiced SPM for a while before submitting runs.
Are you
Just
doing
like Dead,
frickin'
Mirror did
throw
consistent
jump
runs
throw
for
throw
about a
jumps
month
instead of
until
using the red
improving his
wind?
time until 4:35 by the end of August. With summer coming to a close, both Mirror and Dead would become very busy and would only be able to stream attempts every now and then. However, something interesting was developing during this time. During the summer, a new app called Discord was released to the public. This app was designed as a new platform specifically for gamers to communicate with one another. In August, a Discord server was created for all Paper Mario speed games, and some users began posting in the SPM channel. People who had previously
I can't
taken
believe I
interest
used to
in
use
SPM came
TeamSpeak
together
to talk
show
to
their love and
friends.
support for the forgotten Paper Mario game.
TeamSpeak 3 who?
While the feeling of community wasn't quite there yet, there was enough interest in the game
You know what, that's
and
true.
the right number of runners to classify this era as the first generation of SPM runners. With that being said, the story of the first generation doesn't end here, and the new year would bring many new changes to Super Paper Mario.
Used Skype
As
for a
the
little
new year
bit
of
and then
2016
TeamSpeak
kicked
3.
off, new improvements were set to be made in SPM very soon. Dead and Mirror both
Okay.
got back to actively doing attempts.
Cool,
during
just
the
throw
month of
Boomer through
January,
the
and would
ceiling.
consistently
Yep.
stream multiple nights a week. Dead was the first to PB, getting a 4:33:38 on January 14th, which improved his time by over 7 minutes. Shortly after this, Mirror would go on to get a 4:33:22 on January 31st. This would become a common pattern for Mirror and Dead, where both runners would PB in a similar time frame and have times that were very close to one another.
Wow.
As both continued to improve at the game, they would begin to form a friendly rivalry, since both were the only 2 active runners streaming SPM at this time. As a few months passed, Mirror PB'd on 3 separate occasions, lowering his time down to a 4:25 in late April. Dead would also improve his time again in May, achieving a 4:28:04. At this point, both runners were extremely close to passing GameRob's old time, which had stood strong for around a year and a half now. No major skips were added to the run, rather both Mirror and Dead made slight improvements and refined their movement in each level to match GameRob's skill. The summer of 2016 was rapidly approaching, and a large number of people would actively tune into I'm Dead's and Mirror's streams, in hopes of being there for the record. This wasn't a question of if they'd beat the record, but rather who would beat the record first.
And
Luckily,
when?
viewers didn't have to wait long to find their answer.
Oh, good use of that song. Bone Chill is such a disgrace. Yeah, do the thing. You're...
I'm Dead would take the world record with a final time of 4:24:34, just barely beating GameRob by only 6 seconds. The final 3 chapters of the run were some of Dead's best splits, and of course he ended off the run with an insane Super Dimentio fight. With that, GameRob had finally been dethroned after holding the world record for 540 days.
Damn.
And Dead received congratulations from the entire Paper Mario Discord. While all this was happening, Mirror continued to do attempts in hopes of beating Dead's new time. Dead's run wasn't perfect, as there's a decent amount of time saved all throughout the mid-game. Mirror continued runs throughout the summer, and over the next month would either have runs not get past LSJ or die in late game. But finally, on July 11th, Mirror would finally get the run he was looking for.
Yo, the live stream jump. Let's go. Dudley jump to the heavens, screw the over there. There's the only two segments you need to be seeing.
SPM record at 4:24.
Everything else is just not needed.
Just 16 seconds. While Mirror had some very refined gameplay in this run, he actually wasn't too satisfied with it, and pointed out that there was still ample amount of time to save, especially in Chapter 8. Regardless, Mirror and Dead had both finally claimed records after...
Hey! Ah! Deborah used Sinister Arrow Raid and shot 15 arrows my way. Hello, Deb. I hope your stream was well. I think you were playing Pokemon Unite. Also, thank you, Milo Unleashed, for following. You did the thing, and I very much appreciate you. So, hi. I usually don't stream this late, but I was doing a bonus stream, because what I am doing right now is that I am watching a 2-hour-long video about the world record speedrun history of Super Paper Mario, and it's one of my favorite games of all time, and I just recently Let's Played it about a month and a half ago, or finished it up about a month and a half ago. So, I'm watching that, so I'm streaming late. Hello. I'm not gonna do like a big intro, but if you don't know who I am, you can see these links in the chat. You can read all of that. I'm a variety streamer here. I play stuff. I do stuff. You can subscribe to my YouTube to do other things. This will also be on YouTube probably this weekend. So, I rarely get the chance to ever raid you. I mean, yeah, perfect. Yeah. Well, thanks for the raid. For anyone interested in continuing to watch, how I can just show, it is this one. We are 38 minutes into a 2-hour video. If you're interested in continuing to watch the speedrun history of Super Paper Mario any percent with me, feel free to do so. My next stream tomorrow, you know what, I'm just gonna say it right now. My next stream tomorrow, I'm going to be playing some Binding of Isaac, but before that, I'm going to be checking out Smash Remix, which is a Smash 64 mod, which is really cool. I think I modded you forever ago, but you're never here, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, I'm going to be playing this tomorrow for a little bit. So if you want to stick around for that tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, you can do that. But anyway, I'm going to go back to the video. Thank you very much for the raid. If you need to go, Deb, have fun with the rest of your night and stuff. I mean, Deb's never here because she has things that she's doing, including also streaming herself.
Their viewers
Here, I'm gonna rewind this like 20 seconds.
Pointed out that there was still ample amount of time to save, especially in
Also, I
Chapter
didn't
8.
put this back.
Regardless, Mirror and Dead had both finally claimed records after a year of their hard work. Their viewers were very satisfied to see both runners be rewarded for their efforts after all this time. While Dead would enter a hiatus, Mirror continued to do attempts.
I plan on it. This has been really informative and cool because I'm learning more about one of my favorite games that I just didn't know about. A lot of stuff.
Sometime in early 2016, Nintendo announced new eShop titles coming to the Wii U, which would now include certain.
Remember the Virtual Console?
Announced that one of these games happened to be Super Paper Mario. This was huge for the speedrun since it meant you can now play a digital copy of the game rather than playing on a disc. Digital copies of games have been known to have faster loading times.
You know what? That's true.
On disc. So Mirror took it upon himself to run tests with the new.
I played it with my OG disc.
After making some calculations, Mirror found that the Wii U version could potentially save up to 1.5 minutes on loads versus playing on disc.
That's just like a lot of time.
That the last 2 world records at this point were improvements by only a few seconds, so an entire 1.5 minutes would go a long way to save.
Screw those stupid boxes.
Right after this discovery, Mirror began doing runs with the Wii U VC copy of the game. It was immediately apparent that it saved time, since Mirror golded a vast number of splits all across his attempts.
Amethyst staring into my soul.
Mirror was able to improve the record to a 4:23.40. With the help of Wii U loads, Mirror could afford to lose time.
Never mod Deb? Alright, I'll unmod her right now. That's a joke. I'm not doing that.
He was playing on.
I mod all my friends.
Run in September, the record would stand still going into 2017. These past 2.5 years of runs from GameRob, Mirror, Dead, and many other runners were some of the first glimpses of competition in the game. And as 2016 came to a close, more and more runners began popping up to do their own any percent attempts. This trend would continue into the next year, where we'd witness these runners come together and
You
lay
give
out
Fleep the
foundation
happy?
of a true community.
You're not gonna show giving Fleep the happy on screen? Chapter 4! The birth of a community! 2017-2019.
As we enter 2017, a mirage of new runners are about to enter the scene. While Dead and Mirror went on an extended hiatus, Dead would eventually return to runs, while Mirror would not return to any percent at all. Mirror and Dead's SPM streams in 2016 actually had a significant impact on the game's future runners. At this time, there were no any percent video tutorials available, so knowledge of running the game was either through the spread of older documents that were floating around, or by watching Mirror and Dead play the game. Due to this, certain viewers that frequented Mirror and Dead streams would actually go on to do runs of their own, leading to a significant increase in runs from 2016 to 2017. An interesting example is when a viewer named JCR caught wind of Dead and Mirror's streams and became interested in
Who's
running
this
Super
mysterious
Paper
fellow?
Mario. JCR was able to gather a few runners from the Luigi's Mansion speedrunning community to do a semi-blind any percent race together. The runners included were JCR, Jared's Giants, HD Lax, Glitch PhD, and A2 Rhombus. While JCR was the only person to end up completing their run, this was one of the earliest sightings of a community-organized race, and certainly wouldn't be the last. About halfway through 2017, Dead would eventually return to SPM. Fortunately, he was able to equip himself with the Wii U version of Super Paper Mario to save time on loads, and was ready to start improving on Mirror's world record. After getting back to attempts in the middle of July, Dead achieved a new world record of 4 hours, 23 minutes, and 31 seconds, improving on Mirror's world record by 9 seconds. This was a decent run by Dead's standards with a very solid early game, but when it came to Thudley jumps, Dead would lose quite a bit of time. Similar to Mirror, he would get tons of new best splits due to the faster loads on Wii U. Dead felt the record could be
The Wii U
improved
good
by
for
a
something.
lot, so much so that he felt he was inching closer and closer to the next big milestone, a sub 420. Over the next 3 days, Dead would continue attempts, and on July 28th, Dead would break through big time.
Good use of Mr. L.
Finally gonna blaze it.
Yo! Blaze it.
That is a nice little PV. Despite everything that happened prior to Chapter 7, which was just mediocre. Well, some of it was worse than other parts of it, but I would say this run was mediocre until Chapter 7.
I mean, you could say that, pause again, because this is going from, at the beginning of the video, it was like a 5.5 hour segmented run, and the time has improved that much since then, and still, it's a good number to even end a thing on.
He wasn't super thrilled with his little PB. He demolished the record by over 3 whole minutes,
like, that's
achieving a
crazy.
time of 4 hours, 20 minutes, and 27 seconds. This wasn't the sub 420 he had hoped for, but the run still had an amazing showcase of skill, highlighted by a really good peach skip in 7-3. After this run, the summer of 2017 would quickly come to a close, and Dead would enter another hiatus for the rest of the year. While not much happened in 2017, there was one major showcase that took place in April, which would put Super Paper Mario's potential on full display. For more on this, let's throw it over to another one of our guest commentators, HD Lax.
On April 8th, 2017, seemingly out of nowhere,
That's Sherry
Super
Conroy's
Paper Mario
birthday.
TAS was released by a Japanese TASer named Karage. Karage had previously attempted to make an SPM TAS in 2015, but the project was scrapped.
I like
after
that
Lax
layout.
found
That's a
that
good
many
layout.
strats and optimizations were missing. To avoid this problem during the second TAS, Karage kept in active communication with Mirror, who followed the route to make sure it was as fast as possible. After the TAS's completion, the final time came in at an incredible 3:43:42. Seeing SPM completed this fast was astonishing, since the TAS was over 40 minutes faster than the current world record.
Wow.
There's a lot to mention about this TAS. To start, it had a very helpful display that would show the viewers exactly what was going on during this run. Of course, movement was basically flawless and menu navigation was perfect. This run also would manipulate RNG, or the random number generator, to make the game give us whatever items were desired. There were also a lot of tricks that runners wouldn't attempt.
Who
to run,
needs
whether
carry?
it was too difficult or too RNG heavy. Some of these tricks included things like ladder jumps, boomer skip, using the fast flower in 3-3, carry skip, faster point grind in 5-4, water switch skip with a life shroom jump, longer peach skip, and Bowser bumps in 5-4 and 8-1.
Hey.
Alongside this, basically every boss fight in the game would be insanely optimized, which included the use of many RNG-based item drops. We could honestly spend a few hours and talk
Absolutely
about how amazing this task
destroy
was, especially for its
robot.
time. Runners to this day still look to the task for new routing tips and tricks. Even though it did miss a few tricks such as Merlin cutscene skip, this is still the most up-to-date task for any percent to this day.
Early into 2018, a new runner named NMFlash8 would complete his first run of the game with
Hey.
a time of 6 hours, 22 minutes, and 25 seconds.
That's where he started? That number is where he started?
He would pause and play Mira's old world record and follow each section level by level. Flash enjoyed the run so much that he set up stream and started recording an official run the next day, and beat his old previous run by over an hour. Flash began streaming daily.
I don't know where it is now,
and
that's what we're finding out in this video, but when I first found out about NM Flash, like, a year or two ago, he was like number 3 any percent, or something like that.
almost every other day for the first month until he ended
Don't
up
fully
with a
remember, but
time
that's what I do
of
remember.
4 hours, 34 minutes, and 53 seconds. Flash quickly fell in love with speedrunning and would catch the attention of a lot of the active Paper Mario community members in his daily any percent attempts. Flash would soon find one of his new best friends in speedrunning, Slopdop. After watching Flash
Good
run the
name.
game for a while, Slop would try running the game himself. The two would put up a friendly rivalry, seeing who could beat certain milestones first. Flash and Slop would soon grow restless when it came to any percent, but were excited about their newfound love for Super Paper Mario speedrunning. Slop would move on to Pit Percent, another shorter category, where you beat the flipside pit of 100 trials as fast as possible, while Flash would move on to 100%. Sure enough, Slop would quickly get the Pit Percent world record.
Yes! I think we got it.
I know, because I saw on this channel, when I was just looking through it, there was, like, races of, like, racing to get to Shadow. I'm like, that took 4 hours for me to do. Why would you ever want to race getting to Shadow?
1:35:20, final time.
And Flash would get the 100% world record soon after.
Yes! World record!
Oh, wait.
During Flash's run, he would stumble upon an exciting brand new time save.
It's all fun and games till you start pogging IRL.
Somebody clip that!
That's
Oh
awesome.
my gosh, I just did it!
Flash accidentally found water switch skip, which was done by clipping through the top of a ledge in 3D by taking damage. The trick was previously showcased in a task made the year before by using a life shroom jump, but with this new method it would prove to be viable in runs. This was really exciting for runners. It was the first time since 2011 where a glitch found could save time in an any percent run. The other runners quickly searched for other spots with water where this would be useful. However, it seemed like this would be the only application for this new tech that was found. Shortly after this discovery, runners would find a consistent setup that would
Now
save
I'm
around
just thinking
45
about it.
seconds. The only issue is if you did this trick to get to the door, you would have to do the trick a second time to get back. After all this excitement, Flash was hoping more people would start learning how to speedrun Super Paper Mario. The largest deterrent for new runners was the lack of a solidified tutorial. New runners would
Clipping
have to
past
teach
that
themselves
thing
from scratch,
gave me
not
anxiety.
really knowing why or
Seeing
how
that
things worked,
happen.
just blindly following what the world record holders were doing. One night, Flash would record himself doing an any percent run and explain each step and why it was done.
Hey, Lexi,
This was
welcome to the
super useful
stream.
for new runners and even
Wait.
old runners that have
I'm watching a video about the world record history of Super Paper Mario. Any percent speedruns were 48 minutes into a 2-hour-long video. If you wish to watch the rest of it, that's what I'm doing.
previously competed for world record. With the video guides finally serving as a solidified public tutorial, some familiar faces would soon return to the scene. One of them being JCR.
Hey.
After he saw the new video guides, he would seriously pick up the game again. At this point, more than 6 people would run the game at one time, whereas before, only the ones going for world record would complete more than one run at a time. This was the first time in Super Paper Mario's history where the game would have its own community. During this time, a lot of the runners would come together and do weekly races. Every week, the same 4 runners, Slopdop, Dead, JCR, and Flash, would always show up to do a weekly any percent race. They would eventually bring in some new runners.
You know, how did I just notice this? I was always wondering what the heck Flash's profile picture is, but it's a stone buzzy. I don't know how I never put that together. It's a really cute stone buzzy. Unless I'm wrong, but it looks like a stone buzzy.
Always show up to do a weekly 80% race. They would eventually bring in some new runners as well. During all this excitement, a brand new discovery was on the horizon. During mid-2018, runners found a new way to region-free their consoles, allowing them to use the Japanese Virtual Console on their Wii U.
Here we go.
This was really exciting to all of the runners due to the amount of time saved that the Japanese version was expected to save. Let's quickly talk about version differences.
It's adorable.
At this point, most of the runners were running on their English Wii U Virtual Consoles, which was the fastest.
So typically in games, from what I know about a bunch of speedruns from a bunch of other stuff that I watch, like Summoning Salt, typically Japanese versions are faster because there's less text, because they're like their characters just make less text on screen happen, so in turn a faster speedrun.
Version due to the time save in loading zones. However, by playing on the Japanese version, they could have faster text and even faster loading zones. So in order, from slowest to fastest, we have English Disc, Japanese Disc, which had faster text, English Virtual Console, which had faster loading zones, and Japanese Virtual Console, which had faster load zones and faster text,
well, now the game's
and
about to
featured
get
a few
broken
glitches
open.
that were patched in the English Virtual Console. When runners found out about this new version, they were excited due to the amount of time save they would have while running the game with no repercussions whatsoever. Yeah. For some reason, the Japanese Wii U Virtual Console has a small chance of crashing virtually after every load zone. It's still widely unknown why, but it's currently assumed to be a pre-caching error. In other words, when you enter a room, the game will load the next rooms as well. During this process, there's a slight chance that the game will crash for some reason. In other words, at this point, if you want to play the fastest version of the game, you'd also have to play the Crash Lottery, where even runs on world record pace
Let's go
aren't
gambling.
made it to the credits. While runs of Super Paper Mario at a top level became scary, Dead was ready to take on the challenge. With a new trick saving around 45 seconds and a new version saving a bit more time, this was his chance to push his world record time even further. However, he wasn't alone this time around. Mira was gone, but other new runners were improving rapidly, and coming to take Dead's world record. With Flash, Slop, and JCR competing for his top time, Dead was ready to start putting in runs. Dead also had a few tricks up his sleeve. At this point, no one would dare attempt Boomer Skip, because it was already hard enough getting a run past Livestream Jump, so doing 2 Livestream Jumps in one run would be insanity. His strategy was simple. If he got a run past Livestream Jump that he wasn't happy with, he would grab a second Livestream found in 1-4. Then when he got to 2-1, he would attempt Boomer Skip. Boomer Skip was estimated to save around a minute according to a time comparison made by Flash. After grinding many attempts, this happened.
Show him getting it. Do it. Show him getting it. Hey, let's go.
For the first and last time in
randomly
Super Mario
transform
history,
into Michael
Livestream
Jackson.
Jump Boomer Skip was done in a run. Dead went from 30 seconds behind to 20 seconds ahead. But unfortunately, this run would end up crashing in pre-Chapter 3, and the video is long gone. Fortunately for us, though, we do have the clip to see his amazing reaction. As discouraging as this was, Dead couldn't be stopped. A few days later, Dead was on really good pace on a solid attempt, but then this happened.
Y'all are...
No! He pressed the wrong button!
I had global hotkeys on. I just hit reset on my splits. What do I do?
Dead accidentally reset his timer during the Fractale fight due to global hotkeys. While this was a very stressful moment, as he had a very solid early game, this wasn't going to stop Dead from finishing this run. Fortunately,
Yeah, I just play it all the way through and attempt to retime it somehow.
with his help from Twitch chat, a user named HowToCantaloupe directed him on how to get an accurate timer back on screen. With his timer back on track, Dead had a run on faster pace than his previous Boomer Skip run. This was exactly what Dead was waiting for.
Skip the stupid puzzle. Damn.
With this run, Dead broke his record with a time of 4 hours, 19 minutes.
I mean, with this, I'd still probably want to retime it properly. I don't know. I mean, this, like, how accurate was getting the timer back if he messed that up.
Minutes and 25 seconds, getting the sub 420 he was waiting for. After this run, Dead officially stepped away from Super Paper Mario after achieving one of the biggest goals in the game's history, and the first 10-minute barrier break since 2014. Dead would pop up in the community every now and then, but this was his last ever any percent PB. Over the past 3 years, Dead solidified himself as one of the best SPM runners of all time, and his departure marked the end of the first generation of runners. With the first generation at its end, the newer band of runners were ready to take the Super Paper Mario community to new heights. With tons of achievements being made in 2018, the community was ready for more. While Super Paper Mario's community was small,
Inspirational Planet Wisp.
Flash eventually stepped up to be a supermod on the speedrun.com webpage, and would lead the small group. He would keep doing daily runs, or routing streams, while promoting the game's speedrun wherever he could. The small community was growing, but still needed a little more room. As brought up before, Super Paper Mario was a part of a subsection in the Paper Mario speedrunning Discord. This was where the majority of the communication occurred between runners. While it was nice having help from the other Paper Mario runners, there wasn't much space to branch out into other topics related to SPM. The other communities, Paper Mario 64 and the Thousand Year Door, had already branched off to new Discord servers. Flash figured it might be a good time to give Super Paper Mario the chance to grow. On August 17th, 2018, Flash suggested the idea that Super Paper Mario should make its own Discord server as well. While there was a lot of mixed feelings toward this, everyone was generally okay with the new Discord. A lot of concern was brought up that Super Paper Mario wasn't active enough for its own Discord server, and if it did have its own server, there was a high chance that most of the other runners from the other Paper Mario games wouldn't join. It was a risk the group of runners were ready to take. The next day,
I mean, if
Flash
it's dedicated to
released a new
SPM,
Super Paper
people
Mario
who want to see
speedrunning
SPM
server.
would go
With the
there.
help of his friend Hydro, the two of them set up an amazing new server with many more channels where the runners could post discoveries and chat about running the game and discuss new strats. With the release of the new Discord, all of the active runners would frequently join in calls and start glitch hunting sessions, which would become a major tradition for the community. During these sessions, glitch hunters found all kinds of new things.
Look at
Towards
he
the
go.
beginning, a lot of these tricks weren't exactly useful for runs, but were still amazing nonetheless. For example, Hydro found Flopside early. The trick wasn't exactly useful in any percent, since there wasn't anything you could do in Flopside, but it was still really cool.
Look at that.
JCR also made an awesome find with, well, whatever you want to call this.
What? What? What's going on, dude? You gotta tell me. Keep me updated. What happened? Where is he going? I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm done with this game, dude.
Okay.
With all
I'd
of
love
these
to know
new
how that
features,
even happened.
Super Paper Mario is stepping up, and the cherry on top would be the new final time. Previously, timing stopped when the D on the end stopped spinning. This was a little awkward, so it was soon changed to when May We Meet Again in Another Time and Place. fades
Still
to
have
black
no
right
idea?
before the credits. The majority of the runners widely approved of this because then they would be able to enjoy the credits and see their final time at the same time. Depending on the region, this would take around 3 minutes and 31 seconds off of every run, making the current world record go from 4 hours, 17 minutes, and 1 second into a run of 4 hours, 13 minutes, and 26 seconds. Flash would need a lot of help with the task of retiming all of the leaderboard times, and would add JCR as a leaderboard mod to assist. Earlier that year, on January 17th, 2019, Flash would get his first PB in 5 months. JCR pointed out that he was 5 seconds ahead of world record in pre-chapter 5.
No, I can't
After
stop
this
thinking
moment,
about it.
Flash decided that he was ready to grind for world record. Over the past year, he had gotten the 100% world record and 2nd place in pit percent. He had made a ton of improvements on the route, such as cutting down on items and shopping, and studying boss fights to use faster and more consistent strategies. Flash was ready for the grind. Little did he know how long it was going to take him.
Anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
After Flash's last PB, he immediately started pushing for world record. What he didn't anticipate was how long it was going to take him. There were multiple runs where Flash was on world record pace, but would end up crashing, or yes, even losing power. Some days, Flash wouldn't even be able to get a run past Lifestream Jump and would spend up to 4 hours grinding Lifestream Jump attempts, just hoping to get past 1-2. After 3 months of grinding runs, Flash would inch closer and closer to the record, getting a PB of 4
That
hours,
just sucks
14
that
minutes,
the
and
Japanese
26
version's
seconds,
like that.
which put him just a minute behind the record.
GG, guys. G freaking G. 4:14:26. Oh my gosh. Oh. Finally. Oh my gosh, dude. Exactly 1 minute behind world record. I remember, Castle, when I first started running this game, like, I was so pumped about this game when I got my first PB. I walked up to my dad. I was like, I'm gonna take world record. I don't know how long it's gonna take. I don't know how hard it's gonna be, but I'm gonna have world record one day.
That being said, he knew what he had signed up for, and he was ready to claim his world record. While this seemed like a very difficult time to run Super Paper Mario with a crash lottery, a frame-perfect entry trick, and double inputs ruining runs, that's exactly why people stuck around. Super Paper Mario is getting harder and harder to run, so
Chapter 6 Intermission, Chapter 7, like, I would hate
Flash's
that.
community was growing, so did Super Paper Mario. Flash would constantly plug the Discord and encourage new runners to join the community. It was one of those exciting moments where at any point a new record could happen. The main question was, when were the stars going to align? At one point, Flash finished a 4-hour stream with 60 viewers not once getting past 1-2. He promised them that later that night he would do more attempts, that he just needed a small break. Later that night, Flash was calm and ready. He finally got a run going, and was off to a good start. Once he got to Chapter 8, however, that's when everything changed.
Don't do this to me right now.
Oh no!
Oh, did he?
No!
Well, I'm going to assume what he just did, because it's in Japanese and I don't know which text box that was. Is that he accidentally pressed down and clicked Francis.
No! No!
Also, I like the fact that there's a user
my
named
God.
Timpani in the chat.
You are not gonna believe this. Oh, good. Oh my gosh!
After a brief scare, where he thought he would have to refight Francis
Oh,
by
thank
selecting
God.
the wrong menu, he would need what's called a one-cycle Mimi fight. The 8-2 Mimi fight has a spinning blade animation that takes
He
up a
didn't
lot of
click
time.
Francis.
However, you could stunlock Mimi if you timed your hits perfectly. This would cancel the long animation and save around 45 seconds.
Also, yeah, this Mimi fight sucks. Especially for trying to go for speedrun stuff. Because I was on this one for a couple minutes.
Let's go, guys! Oh my
Oh.
gosh! Let's freaking go! Dude, this could world record!
Flash nailed the fight and golded by 45 seconds, being the first time he's been able to pull this off in a run. He was 30 seconds ahead of world record, but unfortunately he used his Mighty Tonic, a damage boosting item, earlier in the run due to double inputs, and ended up losing a bit of time in the 8-3 boss. This brought him down to only 8 seconds ahead of world record, entering the last segment before the final boss fights.
I forgot how inspirational this, how I think it's Origami Castle is the song. How inspirational Origami Castle the song is. This is like real Eye of the Tiger shit.
Let's go! Let's freaking go! Let's freaking go. Oh my gosh! I did it, dude. I did it. Oh,
Maybe we meet
Like,
again another time.
I'm fully prepared for like the game to like randomly crash during the credits somehow because it's the Japanese version and that'll just happen.
Record.
But let's go.
World record.
With that,
That's awesome.
Flash was done with any %. He finished the stream with over 150 viewers pumped for the brand new any % world record. Thousands of new users would see his world record on Reddit and YouTube.
It can crash
and
just
some
before
decided to
Super
try out Super
Dimension.
Mario
I
for
would
themselves.
cry.
Seeing Flash grind for this world record was one of the most exciting moments in Super Paper Mario history. With this new attention...
Really being like that far ahead, about to get world record, and then you crash on Super Dimension.
To the game, the community was about to see a boatload of new active users in the Discord. Flash had given the community the spark it needed and a home to grow in. He would stick around for a while, but soon pass the torch on to JCR to lead the group of new followers into a whole new chapter for Super Paper Mario. The next generation of Super Paper Mario runners were already starting to take form.
Let's see it in Chapter 5, The Next Generation, 2019 to 2020.
After Flash's record, Super Paper Mario saw a massive spike.
I need like a green
As
screen
many
of
new
that.
users joined the Discord
And use
to
that as
learn
like a
the
screen
speedrun, help out
transition.
with glitching, or just to stay updated with all the game had to offer. The recent activity from established runners, alongside Flash finally getting his first record, was enough to skyrocket SPM to a new height that had never been seen before. A very high number of new runners were introduced during this time period, many of whom would go on to make a significant impact in this game's permanent history. This was the launch of by far the most competitive, exciting, and chaotic time in SPM history.
Seeing that many
This
people run
is
the game makes me
next
feel
generation.
good.
Oh, and you're going to want to buckle up for this one, because this game is about to get very, very fast.
Why are you running?
Well, now the game's really about to get broken open. What am I looking at there?
With higher activity counts than ever
What is that
before,
camera angle?
The SPM Discord was bound to see some new breakthroughs in the near future. At this point in time, there had been relatively no major time saves added to the run, with the last addition being Water Switch Skip. Since so much time had passed since the last major find, some users began searching, and surprisingly, it wouldn't take long before a new, huge discovery was made. An SPM runner known as Mohawk began working on multiple different theories directly after Flash's record. One of these theories was Boomer Skip. Some of you may be thinking, hasn't Boomer Skip already been discovered? Correct, Boomer Skip's been around since 2011, since the Wario's early findings. However, this early method was almost never attempted in runs, since it required a second life stream jump, and it specifically needed a jump for the trick to work, rather than a dimension flip. However, Mohawk began looking for any methods to potentially do Boomer Skip without using a life stream. On May 3rd, Mohawk will post a video to the SPM Discord showcasing a new Boomer Skip method for the first time. This new method consisted of tossing a shell shock up on a ledge at a precise point so that it's able to hit the switch above.
Wow.
Many community members were stunned by this achievement due to it being the first major skip found.
Like, how did no one try that before?
As runners began testing the trick for themselves, they found that the trick was surprisingly manageable for runs. I became the first person to perform the trick on console, verifying its use in future runs. Overall, the new trick saved around 1 minute and 15 seconds, which was huge for the run at this time. With this skip, the community was even closer to a goal that was previously thought to be a long shot, the sub 410. With Flash's record being a low 413, just a little over 3 minutes needed to be saved for a sub 410 time. The crazy part about this is that not even a full year had passed since Eindead broke the previous 10-minute barrier, and the community was already looking towards a potential sub 410 in the near future. Not only that, but some members went even further, wondering if an entire hour threshold could be broken, if a sub 4-hour run was possible. Since many new finds would need to occur for this to happen, a sub 4 was deemed to be impossible with the current strategies available, and the community chose to focus on breaking the next 10-minute barrier instead. During this, Mohawk continued his research
10
on
at a time.
possible theories for potential time saves. Since Mohawk had just discovered a method to do Boomer Skip without a life stream, he began working on removing the final
What's
life stream
crazy
left.
is that I'm just now realizing we still have an hour of this video to go, and all of this stuff is happening in 2019. So just like the last 2 years, this game has just been even more insane.
The run. If
When this came out in
successful,
2007.
This would remove the final grind spot of the run and make the speedrun even more accessible. However, this live stream removal would prove to be the toughest of its kind. For more on this, let's toss it over to another community commentator, ZachLink99.
With many new runners trying to push for the sub 410 barrier, the 1-2 livestream jump had become the most difficult and irritating part of grinding runs. Numerous individuals had ideas of skipping the green bridge using other methods, but none ended up
I didn't
working
realize
at
you
the
could step
time.
on that sign.
The first main idea of skipping the green bridge was looked into by Mohawk on April 17th by using a shell shock, in hopes of doing a shell jump over the entire green bridge.
Playing
Unfortunately,
frickin' Mario World now?
doesn't bounce off of shell shocks as high as people had hoped, and it seemed GDS was still only possible with the livestream jump. Only 10 days later, Mohawk had a new theory using the background of the room by clipping out of bounds from the inside of the shop. Mohawk figured out that you could clip out into the background that you used to get to Green's house, but there was still no way of getting to the star block. Just 2 weeks later, on May 7th, 2019, something big happened. Mohawk found that with an extremely precise Z-coordinate, you can climb up a vertical plane out of bounds and jump over the entire green bridge.
Okay.
It was unknown why this plane even existed.
Sure.
Now, it was possible to skip the green bridge without an LSJ for tool-assisted speedruns. The community was freaking out over the discovery, hoping the LSJ was no longer. Later that day, many tried it in RTA without a setup, but didn't even come close, and was quickly deemed not viable for RTA speedruns.
Rip.
With Task GBS being the last of Mohawk's finds for now, the community shifted its focus back towards the run itself. With Boomer Skip implemented into runs, many runners started doing consistent attempts to push for a PB with the new trick. Flash was unable to do runs at this time, so other runners began to step in. During the month of May, new and old runners began doing attempts in hopes of improving their PBs. Some of these runners included ZachLink99, Castle, I'm Dead, and myself. Zach and Castle were newer runners who were looking to improve their times to get a sub 430. On the flip side, Dead and I were longer tenure runners looking to get a really
I'm
good
not tabbed in and I can't dramatically do it. Get it? Flip side? Like the game? I'm sorry.
Or in Dead's case, potentially even get the record back. While Dead's attempts never proved successful, I was able to get my first sub 420 run on May 21st. With this PB, I secured 4th place on the leaderboard, and in doing so created an interesting occurrence. All 4 runners that did weekly races together the year prior now held the top 4 spots, and all of them had a sub 420. This occurrence was a great showcase of the improvements made from all runners since the weekly races. With all the new activity
good
in
jump to get that
SPM,
key.
there is bound to be significant improvements made to the record very soon. The question simply came down to a matter of who and when. However, our answer came with a brand new runner who would go on to help change the way SPM was viewed in a larger spectrum.
Hit me with it.
Around mid-April 2019, a new runner named Yoshizilla began learning Super Paper Mario Any Percent.
Bunch of Koopas?
Just like I'm Dead and GameRob in the past, Yoshi was the 1,000-year door world record holder at the time of learning SPM.
Oh, wow.
Yoshi got the help of active runners such as Flash and Slopdot to aid in learning the game, and was quickly able to finish his first few runs. After starting out with a 5:09.33, Yoshi proved at an extremely rapid rate and got a 4:26.11 in his 3rd ever PB. Yoshi continued doing runs during the summer, and within no time was able to pick up on the finer bits of movement used by top runners. On May 28th, Yoshi got a 4:17.07, which was 3rd place on the leaderboard within a month of running the game. The grind never stopped over the next 2 months, and sure enough, Yoshi was once again able to improve his time to a 4:13.49 on June 19th, just around 40 seconds behind Flash's record. The rapid improvement seen from Yoshi in this time span was something only rivaled by GameRob's runs in 2014, so it's safe to say that many community members were caught by surprise to see Yoshi actively competing for record, when it hadn't even been 2 months since Flash's 4:13.03. Another highly important thing to mention here is that up to this point, Yoshi had yet to even attempt LSJ in a run. With the addition of Boomer Skip to the route, doing the no LSJ route had become slightly faster than before. This meant that newer runners technically didn't have to do LSJ yet, since Flash's record didn't include Boomer Skip. Keeping with this trend, Yoshi continued to do no LSG attempts, and was very happy in doing so since it was extremely easy to get runs out of the first chapter. Many viewers constantly tuned into Yoshi's streams in hopes of seeing a new record, and sure enough, this happened.
Oh. Good boomer skip, just frickin' step on Francis, get the frame perfect stuff on the Mimi. Putting Super Dimension in a corner. And that's a new world record.
Yoshi had achieved the first ever 412 in SPM, all within 2 months of running the game.
Crazy.
Yoshi's record showcased a high skill level and improved his movement in ways that hadn't been done before. A sub 410 was a real possibility now, and many community members were anxious to see if it would happen. That being said, Yoshi was content with his record and began to pursue other plans. Lucky for the SPM community, there were a large bundle of runners on the rise who were about to give SPM its most intense competition ever. After Yoshi's new record, a handful of runners began to make significant improvements to their times. Out of these new runners, 2 began to stand out from the rest, ZachLink99 and Castle SR. Both these runners have been running the game for a few months at this point, and both
I like
have
that
improved their
layout.
time significantly within the last few months. At the time of Yoshi's record, Zach had a 4:25.59 and Castle had a 4:23.16. On August 4th, Castle got a 4:17.22, improving his time by nearly 6 minutes. Zach PB'd by just a minute on August 18th, then went on to get a 4:17 of his own on August 27th, which would miss Castle's time by 2 seconds. After this, Castle would grind attempts for the next 2 days and get 2 separate 4:15s, ending off the month of August with a 4:15.09. With both runners setting a combined 5 personal bests in the month of August, they were quickly improving to a top level of play, as they were now in the top 6 spots on the leaderboard. Even with both runners continuously improving, nobody could have predicted what happened in September 2019.
Well, what happened in September
On just the first day
2019?
into September, Castle got his first ever 412, and now held 2nd place on the leaderboard. This run had a strong chance to be the record, but unfortunately a missed 1 cycle on the A2 Mimi fight sealed those hopes away. Regardless, Castle was now closer than ever to getting his first ever record, but Castle's eyes were set on something much bigger, the first ever sub 410. This achievement had been nothing but a community dream just a few months back, and was now looking more and more like a potential reality. However, Castle would
Again, not getting that Mimi thing makes you lose like 45 seconds.
Zach also continued his attempts in the month of September and would further improve his PV by 3 minutes, getting a 4:14.25. Zach and Castle were now closer to the record than ever before. This all led up to September 15th, 2019, when the unthinkable occurred.
You know, that's a good date, because that's Undertale's anniversary, September 15th, if I'm remembering correctly. I should. It's a magical day. This is a good buoy-based Galaxy remix. Oh my god, that time. Four 12:10. And this all happened on the same day, is what this story is telling me right now.
Zach and Castle each got their first world records, both within an hour and a half of each other.
Wow.
This is still the fastest transition of any SPM any percent records to this day. Starting off with Zach's record,
4:12:10 to
this run had numerous
4:09,
amounts of time loss all
an
throughout
hour and a
the
half
run.
apart.
What really brought this back was Zach saving 2 minutes on Peach Skip. From this point forward, Zach had a very solid Chapter 8 and just edged out a new record with a 4:12:10. Just as Zach got this record, Castle was on the run of his life. After being roughly even with his PB at Chapter 3, Castle proceeded to have a near-flawless back half of the run. After getting an insanely good Peach Skip, it all came down to having good Black RNG to secure the sub 410. Sure enough, Lek had extremely nice patterns, and Castle was able to make history, getting a 409.37. Within an extremely short amount of time, the standards for
Hello,
this game's
Tooth, welcome to the
speedrun
stream.
had been completely rewritten, and another major time barrier had been broken.
We're watching Super Paper Mario 80% world record history. We're an hour and 17 minutes into a 2-hour-long video. If you wish to watch the rest, that's what I'm doing right now.
The best part about this story is that the action doesn't stop here. As Castle moved on to running all pixels, Zach continued to do daily 80% attempts.
It's only 1:12 in the morning.
After his short-lived record,
It's baby
Zach
hours for
improved
me.
his PB by around 25 seconds, getting a 411.45. Just 2 days after that, Zach made a major milestone of his own, getting the second ever sub 410 run. This run would be a 409.45, which just missed Castle's record by 8 seconds. With Zach's rapid improvement, it wouldn't be long before he broke through with a really good run. On September 19th, Zach achieved a 408.30.
Let's go.
The first ever 408 run. Zach was able to have an extremely good early game this run, and carried that time save to a world record, even with some time lost in Chapter 8. After this new record, Castle began his 80% grind again, and was able to strike back just 3 days later, getting a 408.23. This run just edged by Zach's record by 7 seconds, and was overall a very solid time. This is where the record would stand moving into October, where the world record competition would continue to heat up. After witnessing the incredible display from Zach and Castle the past 2 months, Yoshi decided that it was time for him to try for a sub 410 of his own. Yoshi began streaming runs in early October, and would improve his PB on October 9th, getting a 409.30. This was one of Yoshi's first attempts since his 412 record back in July, yet he had already got a sub 410. Over the next 4 days, Yoshi continued attempts to take back his record, and sure enough, on October 13th, Yoshi got a
407.
This run
just
was
keeps going
incredible
down.
at the time, and featured very minimal time loss throughout the run with the strats that were available at the time. With this time being set, many community members began to wonder how far the record could actually be pushed down with the current strategies. Luckily, these members didn't have to ponder long on this subject, as a large number of discoveries were about to take place. While the SPM record was being slaughtered multiple times by the top 3 runners, other members began looking for new time saves to aid in the run. For many months prior to this, the 1-4 key early trick had been theorized by myself and Flash. You are normally meant to enter a separate room and hit a blue switch to reveal a hidden key in the previous room. However, using a free cam in 1-4, it was found that the key is actually still loaded in before completing the puzzle. If there were a way to clip out of bounds and get behind these brown blocks, we'd be able to pick up the key in 2D. Sure enough, I found a method to clip out of bounds in the quicksand with the use of Malio's old corner clipping method. After this maneuver was shared with the rest of the VC, Flash began tasking the trick to see if there was a way to maneuver out of bounds and collect the key. After clipping out of bounds, Flash hopped in quicksand over to the left edge of the screen and was able to
You'd want to get on top of the bricks
above while still being inside the left wall. After flipping back into 2D, the game triggered Mario to be in a mid-air state since we're technically behind all the platforms in 3D. With this, we could pass through all blocks, but couldn't make it up to the key in one jump. Lucky for us, the game allows us to stand on the yellow question mark blocks for some reason, so by landing on one of these blocks and jumping again, we can collect the key that's still loaded in behind the brown blocks.
That skips
this
a little
saved
bit of
15
time.
seconds over the intended route, and the method was improved months later when it was found that you could jump to the key in 3D, meaning the trick now saves around 20 seconds. This find would prove tricky to use in runs at first, but Zach was the first up for the challenge. Just 3 days after Yoshi's record, Zach became the first person to do key early in his runs, and got a 407.34.
Wow.
A time just 25 seconds behind Yoshi's record. Flash would also return to any percent runs on October 15th, and achieved his first ever sub 410 with a 409.36. Many runners were looking forward to continuing their efforts in improving the record. However, as multiple SPM runners went back to grinding attempts, Mohawk hopped out of the woodworks to drop this bombshell on the entire SPM Discord.
Alright. Bowser's out of bounds, he uses a shell shock. He kicked it into the thing, Mario flips back, he's on the seam. And now he's in the black part of the seam. And
this trick skipped the entire inside portion of the 3-3 dotwood tree.
Wow.
The tree skip we can now skip all of the vastly irritating things that 3-3 had once pained runners in the past. While this new trick completely shocked the entire community, there was a catch. To do the trick, we would have to buy another Shell Shock in 1-2. This meant collecting 8 more coins in early game, which translates into pure pain. Runners would now potentially have to rely on coin RNG to determine if they got runs past the 1-2 shop, not to mention getting past LSJ. Thankfully, this issue wouldn't last long, as Zach discovered a new tree skip method with the use of an enemy just a day later. All these new tricks would be added to the run and combine over an entire minute of potential time save.
Wow.
After a brief hiatus in the month of November, our top 3 runners returned to the game.
Being able to skip that whole tree segment is very nice.
All fighting for a new record. The grind began on December 4th when Castle improved his time to a 4:07.54, meaning top 3 was now all 4:07 times. On December 5th, Zach would get a 4:06.45, breaking Yoshi's record and getting the first 4:06. This was also the first record with the use of tree skip and key early. Just 5 days after Zach's run, Castle stole back the record, getting the first ever 4:05. This run featured extremely solid gameplay, along with a very good peach skip. Zach would improve his PB to a 4:05.51, and Yoshi would improve his time to a 4:06.56 on December 11th. With that, this would bring 2019 to a close. During 2019, SPM saw
then
its
the
largest
fun year
increase in
starts.
runners and doubled the amount of runs submitted in 2018. Alongside this, while there were only 2 records set in 2018, a total of 9 80% records were set in 2019. This was easily the most active year in SPM's history up to this point, and things were looking to heat up even further as we head into 2020.
I mean, more people get to stay home and speedrun.
Zach remained as the only active top runner to continue pushing towards a new record. Zach would further improve his time to a 4:05.33 on January 3rd, leaving him just 20 seconds behind Castle's record. On February 2nd, Zach broke Castle's record with 4:04.32. The run had gotten incredibly optimized at this point, and it was becoming more and more difficult to improve the time without help from new discoveries. Zach's new record also brought Yoshi back to do more runs, who would PB twice in February and bring his personal best to a 4:05.33. This would be the last SPM run from Yoshi for a long time, leaving the record competition between Zach and Castle for now. With Castle on hiatus from the game, Zach continued to do runs throughout February. Finally, on February 22nd, Zach would achieve the peak time that the game had to offer.
4:02 is my guess. I don't feel like it's gonna be sub 4. I'm so close to these things.
Zach stepped away from runs for a few months.
4:03.
A pretty significant hiatus on runs, with little to no activity being recorded in March 2020. This would all change in April, when Castle returned to the scene. Around the time that April rolled around, big things were happening in the SPM community. More members were active than ever before, and some big plans were being made this summer that included community races and the first ever Pit of 100 Trials tournament. Castle continued to run any percent consistently through the month of April, hoping to improve his PB. After 6 days of attempts, Castle would finally break through the barrier and PB by a minute and a half. Not only would this PB, but it would also be a new record, after just passing Zach's time by 10 seconds. This would be where the record would stand heading into the summer of 2020. It's actually astonishing to see how much progress was made to this game during the last year. In April of 2019, Flash set a record of 4:13.05. After this point, 5 or 6 major discoveries were made, and 3 runners each combined to improve the record by a total of 9 minutes and 20 seconds.
That's in a
Almost an
year.
exact year from the date of Flash's record. The achievements up to this point had been nothing short of an insane community dream a year ago, but they were now a reality. As we head into the summer of 2020, just 3.5 minutes away from the 4-hour barrier, the community was ready to see even more progress made to this game's speedrun.
So many things have happened.
After Castle's record, he decided to join the other runners in their hiatus.
Sub 4 is definitely possible. I don't know what the record is now. I never looked.
During this time,
That's why we're watching
the
this.
glitch hunting community was in the midst of taking on their biggest challenge yet.
Scanner skip.
Scanner skip is easily the most infamous trick in this game's history. In fact,
That's on
Scanner Skip
noclip.website.
probably had an entire
I can
hour-long
tell,
video
'cause that
of its
thing's
own
clipping.
With how much research has been put into the trick over the years. To get past the 5-4 scanner, you normally have to get a Floral Sprout by defeating O-Chunks. However, this Chunks fight can only be accessed by going through a lengthy process to get the Pixel Dottie, who was used to get the key card. For top runners at the time, beating 5-4 took around 9 minutes on average. If we were able to skip the scanner and go straight into the Crocus fight, runners would then be able to complete 5-4 in around 4.5 minutes, cutting the level time in half. This would be the largest time save found in many years and would easily make Sub 4 a reality. However, a task as great as this is easier said than done. The scanner room had a lot of systems in place to prevent the player from passing through without the Floral Sprout. Soon though, a new user became active in the SPM Discord that would play a major role behind the research on scanner skip. John P55 is a tasser and glitch hunter that joined the SPM community around the summer of 2019. For almost an entire year, John led the charge in research for scanner skip. This led to an absolute plethora of information to be discovered about not just how the scanner worked, but how the game worked. Much information was being discovered regarding how cutscene triggers worked, how respawn locations worked, along with many other mechanics-related information. As John and other glitch hunters were experimenting with some out-of-bounds tricks in the scanner room, none of their ideas were able to skip the scanner at this time. But John had another idea. He attempted out-of-bounds tricks in the keycard room just before the Chunks fight. You normally need to unlock Dottie to get the key card, but after trying an abridged version of Mohawk's old out-of-bounds setup, John was able to clip through the wall and Dottie Skip was born.
Nice!
Dottie Skip would have an immediate impact on runs, as the trick itself would save 1 minute and 45 seconds. However, this trick would change
I like
the route
Mario
runs,
walking
as
around
only
in the
2
Dottie
items
area all
required for
squished
the
up
trick
like
to
that.
work. For starters, another shell shock was needed to clip through the wall, meaning runners would now have to purchase another shell shock in 1-2 before doing LSJ. This brought back the very painful coin route that had been erased with the newest tree skip method, meaning the coin grind in early game was a genuine reset spot for some runners. Along with this, the trick also required the use of a gold bar. This also messed with the coin route, since the old route consisted of selling the gold bar in pre-chapter 5. Runners still began to use Dottie Skip and Run since it still saved time overall.
So, does it specifically have to... I mean, he's saying it here. It's kind of weird that it specifically has to be a gold bar. I guess it's just the hitbox of the item, because there's so many other items in the game you can just toss out, but I'm going to assume that the hitbox of the gold bar is what makes you clip out of bounds.
The runners were struggling to adjust to the new route, as the extra shell shock was really throwing a huge wrench in everyone's runs. This pattern stayed the same for around 3 weeks, until Flash accidentally did this on his stream.
What?
Oh?
Okay, okay.
Somehow, Flash was able to get into the tiny gap in the wall after switching to Mario. The community toyed around with this trick for a few days, until Roblox was able to find a somewhat consistent setup by pressing left for 1 frame with the use of a menu buffer. I say somewhat consistent because some runners would still get this second or third try, but it still saved time and stress over the old route, and proved to be the most consistent version of Dottie Skip for a very long time. With players going back to runs with the new Dottie Skip, John and the rest of the glitch hunting group decided to continue trying their luck with Scanner Skip over the next month. Soon enough, we were about a week and a half into the month of July, and the constant culmination of work spanning back many months finally came to a turning point. On July 12th, 2020, John and Roblox were able to task this.
Okay, so throw the gold bar down, you pick it up, and you're out of bounds, and then you shell shock, more out of bounds. Mario does the thing, he is now flipping. He gets Thudley, we're doing Thudley jumps. You're doing Thudley jumps over the scanner? Poison for extra buffering, maybe? And now the camera's all sorts of fucked up. And then, are you doing... Wait, what's his HP at? Oh, he ate the poison mushroom so he could do the 1-up jump? Maybe? No, he falls through. Now we're just straight up in the end credits with you being a white shadow. And it's doing the scanner check but he respawned on the outside of the skater.
After
Okay.
almost a full year
Sure.
of work and research put into this trick, it was finally proven possible. This is one of the most complicated tricks in the game, which is why it remained TAS only at this time. After this trick was found, John took a much-deserved break from research, while Roblox decided to continue
I didn't
searching
even know the camera could be like this in the game.
for new finds. And the very next day, she found a major development to an important trick. Let's throw it back to Zach for more.
Many attempts at performing Green Bridge Skip in RTA were attempted. Mohawk himself, who discovered the TAS version of the trick, tried to make it RTA viable, but wasn't able to. On July 13th, there were discussions arising about how it could be possible with a good setup, and later...
If you're far out of bounds, the camera freaks out really bad for some reason. I can see that now. I never would normally see that. It actually makes the game look more like a little diorama. And you know what? I have this over here. Here's a little Super Mario World diorama that I just have and made like 10 years ago that it's still somehow intact. I don't know why I'm plugging this back in because I can put this back. But like, it makes Super Paper Mario look like a diorama, and that's cool.
Later that day, something big happened. Roblox.
Also, I'm assuming that the reason why you have to do all of that, because I thought you were going to be able to suddenly jump over the scanner, but I'm just going to assume that the scanner has just a massive reach all the way up and down, so you're just not able to go past it. Because if the check is only in that little square, then you would be able to just suddenly jump over it out of bounds, but you have to do all this complicated stuff of dying to a poison shroom and then life shrooming and then falling back into the scanner. That's lame.
A fairly new glitch hunter manually tested many combinations of frame-perfect movements and found a fairly doable method. The default respawn coordinates the game uses are in the room's origin on the nearest valid ground. Abusing this property by saving a file out of bounds and loading it easily lets us get to the area to perform GDS. This setup would require pushing up against a pipe, holding down left for 1 frame, and then pausing with the home menu, holding up for 4 frames, and then pausing with the home menu. Only 2 hours later, I was the first person to completely get this trick in RTA. As soon as this happened, we all had high hopes that it would put LSJ to rest. GBS allowed us to perform a 35k point grind in 1-1 that the LSJ route could not do because of the unwanted HP. GBS would also...
Is that a horsetail dropping from a squig? Or squiglet? Whatever it's called? On 1-1? I didn't know that could happen.
Get an ice storm
Unless he did he throw that?
K point grind in 1-1.
No, that just straight up came out of him. I did not know they could drop that item.
GBS would also allow us to get an ice storm rather than a stopwatch, saving another 15 seconds, totaling nearly 40 seconds. The very next day, I got Green Bridge Skip in a run on the first attempt. This run was record pace in 7-3, but it had a bad peak skip. It still finished as a 405, which was a very solid run for the time. As time went on, we found much more consistent shot clip methods, a 100% consistent way to get the down left input, which both made this trick much more viable.
With many big discoveries showing up in this time span, things were looking great for runners. As everyone began to get back to runs for the rest of the summer, one runner stood above the rest in the month of July, Zach. After many failed attempts and some time to adjust to a very different route, he was able to put together a fascinating run on July 27th.
I like freezing Francis there and doing that.
Improving the record by 21 seconds. This is the first record to utilize new Green Bridge Skip and Dottie Skip, but still had significant room to improve since Zach was still adjusting from an extended hiatus of runs. Regardless, this PB moved the community even closer to the sub-4 dream. After 4 more days of attempts,
they have to get
Zach
the
continued to improve in every split.
Scanner skip into a run.
Back to form. All of his hard work culminated to one
Don't do this to me right now, please.
day, July 31st, 2020. This was the day that SPM's potential would be put on display.
It's the song. Double squid grinding? What?
Zack softlock.
Fucking how?
On the breakthrough run that the entire community had been waiting for, there was an unpredictable softlock. Nobody had ever seen this softlock before, but of course, it happened at one of the worst times imaginable.
Did you
This
just
run was
completely
near
off-screen
perfect,
black?
and it had potential to be a very low 4-hour flat. This would have been the greatest achievement up to this point, but unfortunately, it just wasn't meant to be. This lost run stung the entire community for the next few months, and many wondered what could have been in this run didn't softlock. With that being said, all the
I feel like
community
that
could
would have
do
been like a
was move on,
401.
which they did. Following this run, an SPM runner named PTL was testing routing ideas involving the HP Plus in Flipside Outskirts. There was a way to obtain the HP Plus early by clipping out of bounds through a wall. After some help from Zach, both runners were able to determine that it saved around 8 seconds to sell the HP Plus in any percent, as it cut out collecting an ample amount of items in certain levels and let runners keep the gold bar for Dottie Skip.
Fair
With the
enough.
new routing change, Zach and Castle continued to get good paces in August. On August 16th, Castle was able to break the record and achieve a 4:02:11, which improved
Cool.
the old record by over a minute. However, Zach would
I'm
also
still
stream runs
devastated.
the same day in hopes of redeeming himself after his lost softlock run. Later on that very same day, Zach got a 4:01.
There we go.
beating Castle's run from earlier in the day by 30 seconds. After both of these records, the official push for sub 4 was put on hold. The top runners felt it was going to be an incredibly difficult task to get the sub 4, and would take some incredible grinding, so both runners decided to take a break until the time was right. As we leave this chapter in the middle of August 2020, the record had been improved a total of 8 minutes and 31 seconds in just the last 7 months.
Crazy.
The community was now closer than ever to a sub 4, just a minute and 41 seconds away. And while many in the community were very happy with the record progression, it was hard to deny the sour taste left in everyone's mouth after the lost 4-hour flat run. Regardless, the community went quiet for a while, leaving some to wonder if new potential competitors would join the scene.
I would love to know how that even happened. It probably won't get explained, but... Chapter 6, the final push, October 1st, 2020.
At this point, the community went awfully quiet, but there was a brand new runner learning the game who would play a key role in the push for sub 4. A Japanese runner named Igurumi began posting actively to the SPM Discord around mid-August, and eventually did their first run on August 24th, clocking in at
Flex
4:36.
despawned off screen. That's what I thought happened. I just don't know how it happened. I guess you're just going that fast with carry because you're going to the other side of the screen. That's wild.
25. This was very impressive for a first run at the time, as most first runs tend to be over 5 hours long. Igurumi was
I didn't
different
even
at
hear
the
what he
time,
said. What was his time?
4:36:20, and eventually did their first run on August 24th, clocking in at 4:36:25.
For a
This
first
was
run,
very
that's not
impressive
bad.
for a first run at the time, as most first runs tend to be over 5 hours long. Igurumi was different, however, as it seemed he had practiced a large amount of the difficult strats before doing a full run. Igurumi continued to do attempts into September and would go on to get a second PB of 4:18:32, which again was very impressive for just a second run. Another thing that set Igurumi apart from other new runners was his keen interest in glitch hunting and tassing SPM. As Igurumi would do initial attempts, he would also look for potential time saves all over the run. Some of his finds included improvements to water switch skip, better routing in 5.4, 4.2, and some better routing for the pit percent category as well. Igurumi kept improving at gameplay all throughout the month of September, and PB'd twice to get a 4:08:54 on September 27th. Igurumi was quickly improving and becoming one of the top runners in the game. However, something huge was about to happen. The years of work done for the speedrun, all the information that we've mentioned prior to this, was all leading up to just one day, October 1st, 2020. As previously mentioned, a majority of the community had taken a large break from doing active runs of this game. However, this all changed when Castle announced on October 1st that he was about to return to any percent runs and grind for sub 4. After seeing this, Flash decided it was time to work on this very video, since sub 4 seemed closer than ever before. After chatting with other Discord members about the video, Flash and a few others decided to hop in the voice channel to discuss some ideas. Not even 7 minutes into the call, Igurumi made the post that would change SPM runs forever. A new out of bounds clip that could be used anywhere.
Oh.
And as it turned out, the key to freely clipping out of bounds was hiding right in plain sight the whole time.
The real Slim Shady? The most useless party member?
Out of bounds at any wall with any character. All with the use of Slim and one gold bar.
Wow.
The trick was done by throwing the gold bar at the wall, using Slim, then pressing 1 and 2 simultaneously after picking up the gold bar to open the quick menu. After switching to any pixel, you could simply hold the D-pad direction towards the wall and you're successfully out of bounds.
Okay.
At this point, everyone in the call was going crazy. The runners began theorizing ways that this trick could be implemented into the run, and Zach was the first to question whether the trick could be done in 3D as well. After some testing, it only took Zach 10 minutes to not only perform the trick on console, but confirm that it also works in 3D. With this new out-of-bounds method fully realized by the community, what occurred next was an hour and a half of absolute mayhem.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can skip with this. Oh my god. Skipping through the boxes, skipping through scanner, doing the tree thing. It just hit, you could just go on the outside seam, don't have to do Dudley jumps. Do this to get the flop side early.
The SPM community had gotten the break it needed to get through the greatest barrier in this game's history. SPM had officially been broken. After years of testing and many different theories, there was finally a consistent method to clipping out of bounds, and made all types of time-saved dreams become an instant reality.
No one would have guessed this because no one cares about Slim. He's used to get the rubies in Merle's Mansion 2-3, and literally what else do you use Slim for? I just played this game, and it's like, it's fresh on my mind. I can't think of any other spot.
To recap the madness, Zach immediately found new methods to Merlin cutscene skip and block skip.
I thought of the second one. When you're in, I think it's 8-3 when you have to fight Dementio. And he's sending you to all the different locations throughout the world. You have to use Slim again to get past the barriers to get back to the Ruby Vault to use Fleep. So he's used twice in the same spot.
Which saved a combined 11 seconds. But soon after, it was realized that gold bar clipping was the last ingredient needed for scanner skip to happen. After just 10 minutes of attempts, John pulled off the trick on emulator, and became the first person to do the trick RTA. Just a little while after this, Zach confirmed the trick's viability by performing it on console for the first time. And just like that, 2.5 minutes were cut out of 5-4, and scanner skip was no longer a theoretical dream.
Wild.
The fun didn't stop there, however, as more and more new finds and improvements were being made to the route. A 6-second improvement was made to tree skip, which would eventually turn into 23 seconds a few months later. Many different clips were implemented during pre-chapter segments like pre-chapter 4, pre-chapter 5, and pre-chapter 7. Norlam cutscene skip was found, which saved 15 seconds by entering the Chapter 8 door early before starting the cutscene, and was accidentally improved on later when Yoshizilla found another 4 seconds of time save to the trick. And of all things, carry skip became a reality. Carry skip had been a long-running joke in the community for years since it was technically possible but saved very little time and quite possibly featured the most difficult set of Thudley jumps in this game's history. But that was all thrown out the window with Gold Bar clipping.
Just walk on the outside seam. There's ground there.
Thudley jumps. All in all, a total of 3 minutes and 45 seconds of time save was found off of Gold Bar clipping.
It actually says 3:30, but still.
But right after that night, many runners were excited to get back to improving their times, and the race for Sub 4 was officially back in the
Just doing that would absolutely wreck Sub 4.
Zach started up his stream and did a practice run after implementing all the brand new tricks. Just around 4 hours later, Zach beat his old world record by 0.2 of a second. All jokes aside, it was understandable that this run didn't pan out, since Zach was just returning to the game and performing new tricks after not playing for months, so some rust was to be expected.
Still world
However,
record.
Zach felt he still had what it takes for a better result and promised to go live again an hour later to try and improve the record. Sure enough, Zach fulfilled that promise and started his second attempt of the day. I think I'll let this one speak for itself.
Bounding through time? You're gonna make me cry. This song is so freaking beautiful. Uh, 3:59:53. Let's go. That's awesome.
It happened. Zach got the sub 4 with a final time of 3:59:53. Everyone
Here, hold
that
on.
had been
You know
waiting
what?
for this moment celebrated together in chat, as well as in the Discord after the stream. This was the biggest achievement in this speedrun's history, and the community celebrated together.
Quickly
with
following
numerous
SPM
tweets,
community on Twitter.
posts,
There we go.
And congratulations to Zach and the entire community. Coming from the very first run, forming into a group of fans taking their turn at the run over the years, to forming a solidified community and breaking the game in unimaginable ways. The progression of not just the world record, but the entire Super Paper Mario speedrunning community was an incredible sight to see over the years. With the sub 4 barrier finally being broken, things could only go up from here. And sure enough, our story isn't over just yet.
There's still
Even
another.
after breaking
What was that? 14 minutes?
the sub 4 barrier, Zach knew there was still more time to be saved in multiple areas of the run. So, Zach went back to actively streaming attempts just 2 days later. What happened next, over the course of October 2020, was complete dominance of the any percent category that
Oh, you can just do that? You fuck
hadn't
Slim.
been seen in a very long time.
Other than the fact that he just broke the game, but still. How have I never heard this cover before? 357? Still 357. 356.
In the month of
355.
October alone, Zach improved the record a total of 8 times. This improvement ended
That's
up to be
20.
a
That
total
took 20 days, right? 20 days. Lowered the record down by like 6 minutes.
Zach improved the record a total of 8 times.
Never mind, 8 times.
This improvement ended up to be a total of 6 minutes and 20 seconds, and the month came to a close with a 3:55:21. This was the craziest month in SPM's history. Gold bar clipping, scanner skip being made RTA, numerous other time saves, the sub 4, and Zach's constant improvement over the month to push the record just 22 seconds away from a sub 355. None of this could have happened without the years of grinding, research, and runs from all the amazing community members. With the record being pushed down so far, Zach was very content with the strats in his 355 run and decided it was best to set up a fully commentated version of this run, featuring commentary from himself, EPT Hopper, and myself. This run was an absolute spectacle and was a great feature showcase of all the new strats found with gold bar clipping in the month of October. While Zach moved on to other projects, another runner continued their rapid improvement during this time. Igurmi also did runs throughout the month of October and improved his PB a total of 4 times. With the 4th PB on October 31st, Igurmi got the second ever sub 4 with a 3:57:43. Igurmi's rapid improvement and immense contributions to the community were an absolute sight to see, and Igurmi quickly solidified himself as a top SPM runner and a world record competitor. After getting another PB in early November, Igurmi continued to stream world record attempts all the way into December. Finally, on December 13th, the grind would pay off. Igurmi passed Zach's record by just 12 seconds, achieving a 3:55:09.
Wow.
While Igurmi and Zach were happy with their times, they both knew a 3:54 or potentially even a 3:53 was still possible, just extremely difficult. Over the next 3 days, Zach would get back to doing attempts and would beat out Igurmi's time by 29 seconds to achieve the first ever 3:54 on December 16th. As we closed out this crazy year of 2020, this is where the world record would stand heading into the new year. But both runners were determined to make final improvements to solidify the record for once and for all. Very early into January, it was clear that some improvement was about to be made to the current standing record. About halfway through the month, Igurmi was proving to be very close to breaking through, but just couldn't finish out his attempts. Finally, after months of glitch hunting and grinding runs, Igurmi achieved the first ever 3:53, which is an extremely impressive run even for the top runners. After this run, it was theorized that 3:52 was possible, but extremely difficult. Thus, this is where the record would stand for many months after this. With that, we close out the story of how a band of runners and community members all came together to work towards one of the greatest achievements in this game's history. But before we close it out, we'd like to share one final piece of the SPM story that might not have an effect on the world record, but is still an important story to be told.
I was gonna say, you're gonna tell me that this entire video is completely invalid, and all of a sudden someone randomly found out how to get the skip to happen where you're with Peach and you can pick up the key to set your chapter 8 flag and then just skip the whole game? Right now. Chapter 7! Where are we now? 2021?
Wait. Whatever happened to Castle? Like mentioned before, Castle was the first person to start pushing for sub 4, but shortly after the game was broken open, the first sub 4 hour run was claimed by Zach.
Truth.
While Castle was happy for Zach and the community, this was really frustrating to Castle. In a way, he almost felt cheated. He believed that sub 4 hours shouldn't be something that was found, but more something that was earned. All of the runners had started moving on to Green Bridge Skip using the out of bounds movement, while Castle was determined to stick to his roots and keep doing the legacy route with Lifestream Jump. More and more time save was found with the new Green Bridge Skip route, but this wouldn't deter Castle. He wanted more than just sub 4 hour speedrun. He wanted a good sub 4 hour speedrun with Lifestream Jump. While Green Bridge Skip allowed more attempts, Lifestream Jump was an exact time save. You either got it or you didn't. The next few months would be some of the hardest months to watch for SPM speedrunning. Castle would constantly try for runs and get so close, but something would always happen. Similar to Flash's experience, it would take a miracle just to get that one run. Many times, people begged Castle, just don't do Lifestream Jump. It takes too many attempts, and you can get sub 4 without it. Something that wasn't mentioned earlier was the first 2 sub 4 speedruns didn't even have Green Bridge Skip. There was so much time saved with all of the new discoveries that it wasn't even necessary. But Castle
It still is a
absolutely
time save,
refused.
though.
He knew he was capable, however it just didn't sit right with him. Castle would get very frustrated after a while with people constantly telling him to stop doing livestream jump and not being able to get runs in. Finally, on January 19th, 2021, this would happen.
Oh, we finally get to see him do it in the nothingness void. Let's go!
You heard it. Castle got a run. Little did he know, this was the run that he had been waiting for.
That's what I wanted to see since like an hour and a half ago. I wanted to see someone do that in the nothingness void. He's just earned my respect just because of that.
The grind has been hard. Igor got it way faster. He's a really good player. Zach got it before I did. Oh, this is okay.
He's even got my hair.
I'm happy I'm finally able to beat the goal.
359. He got sub 4 with the skip.
This was a touching moment for the community. Castle finally got sub 4, and he did it his way. It was a hard period for him, and it just felt right seeing him get the run that he put so much effort into. With that, we're brought back to this present day. This of course begs the question, where are we now? After this brief hiatus of runs, a load of new strats were discovered.
Over there hasn't been in the entire video, and now you put the song in.
Crocus
Very end.
A pretty consistent stone tablet early find, and an RTA viable blue pedestal skip, just to name a few. However, the biggest time save found came in 4-4, where a new glitch completely broke the level. It had been theorized for a long time
open
as
that
to
chest
whether it
from
was
there.
possible to open a key chest in
Yo.
4-4 early, but it was finally possible after John found a method to open these chests by taking 3D damage mid-air. Agurmi would implement a few of these new tricks and achieve the game's most recent New World Record with a time of 3 hours, 53 minutes, and 15 seconds. With the new strats found, it's very well possible that a sub 350 could be on the horizon. But for now, this is where our world record progression comes to a close. From Mr. Guy's 513 run in 2007, all the way to Agurmi's 353.15 in 2021. This game has come an extremely long way over the years, and we're so glad that you all joined JCR and I on this amazing journey. We are so excited to see where the community goes over the next few years.
Since like the first run, it's been cut down by like 2 hours.
We also have a bunch of
something
great
like
things
that.
on the
Hour,
horizon.
not really
John
2
is
hours,
currently
but
putting together an SPM
it's a lot.
80% task, which will be released sometime in the future. This would be the first task in over 4 years for the game, and a number of new strats have been added since then. So the final product should be very fast and very exciting to watch. There are also a number of old and new runners who are currently making their mark on the game and rapidly improving, which among include Agurmi, Zach, Castle, Stevie, Ben, Zyle, Teddy, and PTL.
Go follow
There are
them.
also some older runners who are looking to make a return as well, such as Squiddy, myself, and GCR.
Go
so
follow
stay
them
tuned
too.
for more runs and SPM content coming very soon. If you'd like to join the SPM community or have any interest in checking out our Discord channel, the link is on the screen and in the description of this video. If you're also interested in running SPM, we have a lot of great community members who would love to help you get started. Make sure to follow the SPM Twitch channel, YouTube channel, and Twitter account to keep yourselves updated on all things SPM speedrunning. We'd like to give a huge thank you to all of our runners, glitch hunters, and community members from over the years, as none of this could have been possible without any of you. We'd also like to thank everyone who helped out in the making of this video. Links to their Twitch channels, as well as the runners' Twitch channels, can all be found in the description below. As we send you off to our final credits sequence, we'd like to thank you all for watching the history of Super Paper Mario speedrunning. On behalf of JCR, my name is NMFlash8, and may we meet again in another time and place. Take care.
Good closing line. And that's the video. I'm just now realizing that I probably should have wore my Super Paper Mario shirt coming into this video. My Count Bleck shirt. It's upstairs and I didn't think about it before starting the stream. But I'll lower this a bit. That's absolutely incredible. Just seeing how far this game has come over the last couple years, because really just a lot of the major stuff happened pretty much within the last 2 years, and just last October, the game just got completely cracked open with the gold bar clipping and stuff. I'm gonna let the credits play just so we get to see everyone involved with the video and stuff like that. But this just gives me an even bigger appreciation for Super Paper Mario, because this game is already one of my favorite games of all time anyway. It's just super cool just to see a bunch of people be passionate about one of their also favorite games of all time. If it wasn't one of your favorite games, why would you play it? To be honest. I guess I should also say, shoutouts to JCR, who rewatched about 3/4 of this video with me, and just thank you to all the other people who worked on the video. The fucking pog there. People who worked on the video, people who speedran this game. I personally do not ever plan to speedrun this game. It's the fucking glitch there. I don't plan on ever speedrunning this game. I was just interested in what the speedrun was. Because what I remember hearing at one point, I don't know, because it wasn't brought up at all here. Maybe it's a different category or something. I just remember hearing that speedrunners would go into the Pit of 100 Trials and get Dashel so that they could speedrun the rest of the game with Dashel. Unless that's just not true, or it's a completely different category. I'm not entirely sure, but that wasn't in here at all. Because you're just able to do that, do all of this without that. I should also say, if you watched all the way through this, because this is also getting uploaded to YouTube after the fact, I'm Pokeball35. I stream this live at twitch.tv/Pokeball35, link in the description of the video. There's a category called All Pixels where you do that and use Dashel to go fast. Fair enough. But yeah, this is all streamed live at twitch.tv/Pokeball35, link in the description of the YouTube video. I stream almost every single day. This was a bonus stream I did that I started at like 11:30, and now it's 2 a.m. But I typically stream around 4 p.m. Eastern every day. I do a bunch of different things on the channel. You can also see everything that's on my YouTube channel if you feel like subscribing to that. I do have an entire Let's Play of Super Paper Mario up on YouTube right now. This will officially be the 40th video of the Let's Play, which is not even the Let's Play. It's the thing. And look at that. And there's everybody. With JCR and NM just right there at the pedestal, and everyone else as well. Hold on, we're just gonna do that. So there we go, we're paused there. But yeah, if you want to see my entire playthrough of Super Paper Mario, it is up on YouTube now. I played the entire game all the way through for the first time in like 10 years. It was also my first time ever completing the Pit of 100 Trials, the Sammer Kingdom Challenge, and the Flopside Pit of 100, or the Flipside Pit, Sammer Kingdom Challenge, and Flopside Pit twice, because you have to do the Flopside Pit twice to get the final boss of that. That was my first time ever experiencing all of that, if you're interested in seeing all of that. I talk about some other stuff in the game. I'll just grab this one more time. I did grab and use the guidebook to the game. I've had this since I first got the game. I think I got the game with this. I went through and talked about just my experiences with the game, and things I remember, just other hidden secrets. I also did all of the maps. If you want to have a guide on seeing all the maps in the game and finding all the locations, that's also a video. I never put timestamps in the description, which I probably should, so that way you can, click on the map that you want to see. But still, I have a video on all maps, and here's a fun fact for you. On the back of the guidebook, there's a gold fuzzy. There is no golden fuzzies in the entirety of Super Paper Mario. This is a lie. This is just kind of on the back of the thing, and it's not real. But I love this game a lot. You can go watch the thing. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. I have so many other game playthroughs up on the channel, and I have plenty of other stuff planned for the near future and beyond as well. And you can follow me on Twitch. You can follow me on Twitter. You can do all sorts of other things. And then I'm going to repeat the exact same things I just said another 3 times to extend the video length for another 6 minutes. But yeah, we'll put this back. Before I keep rambling, thank you for watching the video. I'll do a stream outro after this, but thank you for watching the video, and I will see you in whatever comes next.